Chapter 130. Fang Yen and Bailey Lu had fought 2 rounds. Of course, in the hearts of some uninformed spectators, they had fought 3 times. In the first round, Fang Yen made an appointment with Bailey Lu to fight 3 days later with the excuse of feeling unwell. Unexpectedly, as soon as Bailey Lu left the Fang family, someone spread the rumor that Fang Yen defeated Bailey Lu in 1 move. Bailey Lu could not explain it, so he could only suppress his anger in his heart. In the second round, Bailey Lu challenged Fang Yen again. The two also made a heavy bet that the defeated party could not take care of his hair or wash his clothes before he challenged his opponent again. Therefore, Bailey Lu became like a savage in the deep mountains today. The third round was today. Bailey Lu came prepared. At a young age, he had practiced the inverse God punch to his arms. He could be called the best of the younger generation of Wang Lin, and his strength could not be underestimated. Unexpectedly, Fang Yen still turned the tables at the last moment. While he was beaten into a ball, he had to continue to abide by the agreement that his hair could not be taken care of and his clothes could not be washed. He walked in Jianghu in ragged clothes with this bad hairstyle, was beaten by his father with a stick, and was ridiculed by his peers. The history of Bailey Lu's growth was a tragic history of hardship. Fang Yen stood in the same place, waiting for Bailey Lu's body to hit the stone wall and then fall to the ground again. He was ready to go up and give him a few more kicks. Bailey Lu's ball-like body was sliding down rapidly. As he slid down, his body gradually stretched out. Obviously, he had broken away from Fang Yen's control and recovered some physical strength and self-awareness. Then he suddenly punched out, and his blazing red arm was ruthlessly inserted into the stone wall. He was like a gecko hanging on the mountainside, with a stubborn look that he would not go down even if he died. Fang Yen waved to Bailey Lu and shouted, "Bailey Lu, come down." "I don't want to go down." As soon as Bailey Lu opened his mouth, he vomited a mouthful of blood. That kid was too ruthless. He was beating him to death. He knew that his body was seriously injured, and his internal organs were also hit hard. He might need a long time to recuperate. "Come down, I have something to discuss with you," shouted Fang Yen. "You lied to me." Bailey Lu roared. His fists were firmly inserted into the cracks of the rocks, unwilling to fall to the ground. "Why would I lie to you? When have I ever lied to you? Apart from the previous misunderstanding, I have never lied to you even once. I swear on my character. Come down and tell me who asked you to kill me. I promise I won't hit you again." "I can't go down." "I can't say," Bailey Lu said. "If you don't come down, I'll go up. I can beat you up. Do you think I can't climb up myself?" Fang Yen was angry and threatened. Ka. His hands were like 2 indestructible awls, dancing left and right, up and down. In the blink of an eye, he had climbed from the waist of the mountain to the peak. "Fang Yen, you bastard, you son of a b****. Bailey Lu stood on the peak and cursed. His long hair was spread out, and it was even more abstract than the hairstyle of Zhang Wuji's godfather, the golden fur lion king in the heaven sword and dragon saber. His mouth was bleeding, and his eyeballs were protruding. His clothes were torn into strips, and there were countless wounds on his body that were oozing blood. "How can you scold people?" shouted Fang Yen, standing at the foot of the mountain. A master should have the demeanor of a master. How could he casually scold people? This would lower his dignity and destroy the aura of a master. "I want to scold people, I want to scold you," Bailey Lu roared in exasperation. "You beat me again. Why do you want to beat me again? Why can't you let me win once? Will you die if you let me win once? Do you know that I'm dying? Do you know what kind of life I've been living since I lost to you last time? I haven't had a haircut for 2 years and 5 months. My clothes were rotten, so I took them off and washed them secretly. I can only sleep naked at night because I'm afraid that if I wear them out, I won't have clothes to wear the next day. My father saw my clothes and stabbed me with a spear, saying that I've lost the face of the ancestors of the Bailey family. What's even more infuriating is that my mother forced me to go on a blind date a few days ago. Beauty Lu's little cousin, that crazy woman, took a look at me and said that she wouldn't make friends with a down-and-out painter. Bailey Lu's eyes were moist, and big drops of tears rolled down his cheeks. Who's a down-and-out painter? Who's a down-and-out painter? I haven't even held a brush before. I can't even draw an egg. How can I be a painter? Fang Yan, it's all your fault. I must kill you. To be honest, after listening to Bailey Lu's sorrowful attack and accusation, Fang Yan really sympathized with this unlucky child. At that time, both of them were young. In order to make each other's life more miserable, they made such a bet. Unexpectedly, from then on, the life of the gentle, handsome and charming young master of the Bailey family had become like this. The quality of his life had deteriorated too fast. No wonder this kid couldn't bear it and came all the way here to kill and take revenge. Fang Yan waved to Bailey Lu and shouted, "Bailey Lu, come down, I'm not going down. Unless you promise me something." "What is it?" "Cancel the previous agreement. I can have a haircut and change my clothes." Bailey Lu shouted. "What did you say?" "Cancel the previous agreement. I can have a haircut and change my clothes." "In your dreams?" Fang Yan said angrily. He looked up and said, "It's up to you. If you have the ability, stand on the top for 3 days and 3 nights. I'll consider agreeing to your condition." "Fang Yan, I hate you." Bailey Lu looked at Fang Yan in despair and ran to the other end of the top of the mountain. Soon, his figure disappeared in front of Fang Yan. "It's all the fault of the blind date." Fang Yan sighed in his heart. A good young man became mentally ill because of the blow he received during the blind date. It was really frightening to think about it. A blind date is fiercer than a tiger. When Fang Yan returned to the hotel, he found that there were no students from class 9 in the restaurant. Even the 2 little girls, Jiang Qin and Wang Lin, who said they would wait for him to come back for breakfast, had disappeared. Fang Yan called the waiter over and asked, "Hello, may I ask if those students have eaten?" "Yes," the waiter said. "So fast?" Fang Yan asked in surprise. He and Bailey Lu didn't fight for too long. Logically speaking, they shouldn't be so fast. When those students were eating breakfast, someone ran over and said that they saw Xia Tian filming at Shishio Mountain. The waiter's expression became excited and said with envy, "They all ran to see Xia Tian." "It's Xia Tian again," Fang Yan said gloomily. He had planned to bring the students back to school after they had their fill. These students all ran to find the crew to see the stars. Where could he find them all? "What did you say?" The waiter who was serving Fang Yan soy milk and fried dough sticks stared at Fang Yan fiercely. Her hand stopped and said, "You said it's Xia Tian again? You don't like Xia Tian?" "I don't dislike her." "I mean, you do. I can tell from your tone." The waiter was obviously a hardcore fan of Xia Tian. "Why don't you like Xia Tian? What's wrong with Xia Tian? Do you know how hard Xia Tian works?" The waiter threw the soy milk cup in front of Fang Yan, but forgot to leave him a sugar bun. When she left with the tray, she said discontentedly, "You don't understand Xia Tian. You don't know what kind of woman is a real goddess. You don't understand her. If you understand her, you will fall in love with her." Fang Yan finished the 2 fried dough sticks and a cup of warm, unsweetened soy milk on the plate. He wiped his mouth and was ready to look for his students. He found the greeter at the door and asked the direction in which the students left and rushed in that direction. There was no need to deliberately look for them because there were many people on the road with him. From their excited expressions and topics of discussion, it was obvious that they were also looking for Xia Tian. Fang Yan was not ignorant about Xia Tian. He had also heard of Xia Tian's name. He knew that Xia Tian had acted and sung, but that was all. He didn't expect that this star had such a great influence. Because she was filming at Mount Xianxia, the tourists of Mount Xianxia were probably looking for the location of her filming crew. Thinking that the students of Class 9 had abandoned their teacher and ran to find a woman they had never seen before, Fang Yan felt an inexplicable sadness in his heart. Is it really Xia Tian? Is it fake news? It must be Xia Tian. Someone has already taken a photo and posted it on Weibo. It was taken at Mount Xianxia. Great, I finally have a chance to see Xia Tian. Xia Tian is too low-key. She hasn't held a concert for several years. It's not easy to see her low-key? Fang Yan sneered. If she really wanted to be low-key, she wouldn't have deliberately revealed her whereabouts. Letting so many people look for her all over the mountains and plains, how could she be called low-key? At this moment, Fang Yen heard the sound of branches rustling in the woods on a narrow side road. Fang Yen stopped and looked over. He happened to meet a pair of bright and gentle eyes. The woman obviously didn't expect that she would be discovered as soon as she showed her head. She looked anxious and hurriedly made a shushing gesture to Fang Yen. Worried that Fang Yen wouldn't agree, she put her palms together and made a pleading gesture to Fang Yen. Fang Yen was stunned for a moment and shouted in surprise, "You are Xia Tian?" Chapter 131. For many people, the word summer is the password to unlock the computer and the keyword set by the brain automatically. Hearing Fang Yen shout, "You are summer," everyone looked at him. Summer? Where is it? Where is summer? Why don't I see it? Summer, come out, we have already seen you. Everyone searched for a while and did not find the figure of their idol goddess Summer. So they looked at Fang Yen with hostility. Hey, didn't you say you saw Summer? Where is Summer? A young girl wearing glasses looked at Fang Yen and asked angrily. Yes, you liar. Another girl with a cap next to the girl was also angry. How can you lie at such a young age? A middle-aged uncle followed them and accused Fang Yen. Fang Yen remembered very clearly that it was this middle-aged uncle who shouted, "Summer, come out, we have already seen you," and other lies to the woods. Can't lie at such a young age? Can you only lie when you're old? When Fang Yen figured out that the woman who gestured to him to be silent and begged him to help keep it a secret was the big star Summer that they were looking for, he didn't mean to keep it a secret for her. How can a star refuse to see her fans? Signing a photo and treating them to dinner is a matter of course. However, hearing these fans accusing and attacking him, Fang Yen changed his mind. Don't you want to see your idol? I won't tell you where your idol is. I have seen Summer. Fang Yen said innocently. Where? Why didn't we see it? The girl with glasses searched around again. The blooming flowers are summer, the green grass is summer, the leafy saplings are summer, the thorns and thorns are also summer. Fang Yen pointed to the surrounding scenery and said, the birds in the sky are summer, the fish in the river are summer, and the earthworms in the soil are summer. Where is summer? Summer is in our eyes and in our hearts. Fang Yen looked at the middle-aged uncle and said, Uncle, didn't you say you saw summer? Why are you still asking me where summer is? Who are you calling uncle? Who are you calling uncle? You look even older than me, and you still have the nerve to call me uncle? The uncle was very angry, and the consequences were very serious. Crazy, the bespectacled girl cursed. This person is really annoying. I thought he saw the summer, but it turns out he's a poet. Since they didn't get the information they wanted from Fang Yen, they followed their original plan and continued forward to search for summer. Fang Yen waited for them to leave before he walked to the front of the dense forest at the fork and said, Come out. The branches and leaves swayed, and a beautiful figure in an ancient costume stood in front of Fang Yen. Elegant and refined, otherworldly like an immortal. This was Fang Yan's first impression of her. Just now, it was just a hurried exchange of glances. At that time, all Fang Yen could see was the purity and worry in her eyes. Now that she was standing in front of Fang Yen was able to redefine her perception and understanding. She is indeed a beautiful woman. Fang Yen thought. How could this be? The girl said in a sweet voice. Even when she was angry, she was still so gentle and pleasant. What should I do? Fang Yen asked. I already told you not to make a sound and not to tell them where I am. Why did you expose my whereabouts? Xiaji said angrily. Fang Yen laughed, pointed at the crowd and said, If I had deliberately exposed your whereabouts, you would have been surrounded by them by now, right? But you... Xiaji thought about it, but really couldn't blame Fang Yen for doing something wrong. Although he had asked that very inappropriate question, but he did not really betray himself. Then you can't compare me to some fish in the water or earthworm in the soil. I'm describing summer. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It has nothing to do with you. Fang Yen said. Xiaji scanned his surroundings and frowned. carrying his cumbersome ancient robe, he hesitated on where to go next. The news that the crew of the Divine Furnace was filming at the Xianxia mountain was accidentally discovered by someone, and someone even took a photo of her and posted it on the internet. Now, all the tourists in the Xianxia mountain were looking for her. It was said that a large number of fans were rushing towards the Xianxia mountain. The crew of the Divine Furnace was already surrounded, and she was brought out by Feng Yuanqing from a small path. In order to distract the group of people who were following him, Feng Yuanqing deliberately led them to another fork in the road. Now, she was the only one left walking in the mountains. She was at a loss for what to do. The crew couldn't go back, she didn't know the way up the mountain, and she could be surrounded by the huge number of fans at any time. The most tragic thing was that her phone was still in the hands of her assistant. How could she deal with such a complicated situation by herself? Her helpless and pitiful appearance touched a certain chord in Fang Yan's heart. He suddenly felt that if he didn't help this woman at this time, he would despise himself along with many others. And she was such a beautiful woman. You're Xiaji, right? Fang Yan asked. Xiaji had already regained her composure and regained her composure as a big star. She said, Yes, I'm Xiaji. Where are you going? Fang Yan asked. Where to? Xiaji thought for a moment and said, I haven't thought about it yet. Maybe I should go to the police for help. I mean, if I really have to. Fang Yan sighed. A while ago, a Korean star came to Wuxia to participate in an event. In the end, he was chased by a large group of fans and didn't even have the chance to pee. He could only ask the police station on the highway for help. Now, another star was chased by fans and wanted to go to the police. It's really not easy to be a star. Fang Yan somewhat sympathized with Tang Tianwang back then. He was so popular that there was no one before him. Wasn't his life too exciting? Is there anything I can help you with? Fang Yan asked. Xiaji looked at Fang Yan and said, I think you look very familiar. Fang Yan took out a business card from his pocket and said, A man named Zhang Wei came to me and said he was your agent. So it's you. Xiaji was shocked and overjoyed. It was too far away at that time, so I couldn't see it clearly. I just feel that when you do Tai Chi, there's an indescribable charm there. That's why I wanted to cooperate with you. I'm sorry, I was too presumptuous. It's nothing. Fang Yan stuffed the business card into his pants pocket again. Although I refuse to cooperate with you, I can't be angry with you if you insist on praising me like this. I'll take you to a place. Fang Yan said. Where are we going? Xiaji looked at Fang Yan warily. With her current status, it was really not suitable for her to be too close to a young man. Moreover, this man was quite strange. Fang Yan squinted his eyes and smiled, saying, Miss Xia, you actually don't have much of a choice. Either you come with me, or you'll be surrounded by real fans. You'll also be taken advantage of by some fake fans. Back then, when Tang Tianwang was disguised as a woman, there were men who sneaked into the fan group to touch his butt. Xiaji felt her scalp go numb and goosebumps all over her body. She resisted the urge to turn around and look at her butt. She looked into Fang Yan's eyes and said, Why should I believe you? I'm a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary. This time, I came to Xianxia Mountain to bring my students to travel. If you don't believe me, this is my teacher's ID. As Fang Yan spoke, he took out his work ID and the list of students in Class 9 from his pocket and showed them to Xiaxia. Xiaji carefully studied it and confirmed that it wasn't fake. He returned the ID to Fang Yan and said apologetically, I'm really sorry, I have to be more careful. Then I'll have to trouble you. It's a bit troublesome. Fang Yan looked at the white robe and the high bun on his head and said, If you don't want to be recognized immediately, I suggest you change your clothes. Change clothes? Xiaji frowned. She was interrupted by the surging fans in the middle of filming, so she ran out in her costume. If she had a change of clothes, she would have changed long ago. Why would she wait until now? Wait a moment. Fang Yan said. He looked around but didn't see any clothing stores nearby. Thus, his gaze shifted to Xiaji and said, Actually, it's not that there's no way, it's just, you need to make some sacrifices. Xiaji had indeed made a great sacrifice. If the outside world saw the noble goddess of the entertainment circle with a white veil covering her face like an Arab woman and only revealing a pair of eyes, they would probably be shocked. Fang Yan couldn't help Xia Ji by a change of clothes, so he took off the large piece of white veil on her head and wrapped it around her head. She changed the robe she was wearing into a large robe worn by Arab women. It was simple and convenient, and it wasn't easy to attract attention. Fang Yan was going to take Xia Ji back to the hotel they rented to temporarily avoid the limelight, and then call her assistant to come over and quietly pick her up. Just as they walked to the lobby of the hotel, they happened to meet Tangqing, who was accompanying Qin Etian out for a walk. Tangqing stared at Fang Yan with wide eyes, a look of disbelief. Teacher Fang Yan, did he pick up another girl? Moreover, it was a woman full of exotic charm. Chapter 132. When Tangqing saw Fang Yan come back with an Arabian girl, his first reaction was to turn around and look at Qin Etian's face. To his disappointment, Qin Etian's face showed no emotion. It was as if he didn't see it at all. Tangqing was a little disappointed, but on second thought, he quickly returned to normal. Pretend. Keep pretending. Let's see how you can pretend. Tangqing knew Qin Etian to a certain extent, and he knew that this girl was not the same as other girls. Ordinary girls liked and didn't like, and their emotions could be seen at a glance. Qin Yan's aura was strong, and she spoke and did things frankly and directly. However, that was her real body, or it could be her disguise. She was like a mystery. She was deeper and more introverted. It was difficult to see her mind clearly, and it was even more difficult to pry into the secrets in her heart. If Qin Etian really liked Fang Yan, how could she not be angry when she saw such a scene? The reason why she didn't show it was because she hid it in her heart, or she didn't like Fang Yan at all. The picture of Fang Yan dancing Tai Chi on the top of Xianxia mountain kept appearing in Tangqing's mind, as if his heart was covered with a layer of haze. How could you defeat such a man, such a rival in love? Now, the wind blew away the haze, and the sun shone. Tangqing suddenly became happy. Fang Yan nodded to Tangqing, and then walked toward the hotel elevator with Xianxia in his arms. Tangqing looked at the backs of Fang Yan and the Arabian girl as they left, then turned to Qin Etian and said, Mr. Fang is really popular with women. Qin Etian took a deep look at Tangqing and said, childish. Tangqing felt as if he had been stabbed in the chest. How am I childish? Did I do something wrong again? I was so quick-witted and discreetly gave teacher Fang Yan some eyesight. Could it be that you also found out? When Qin Etian and Tangqing boarded the elevator, Fang Yan and the Arabian girl had already disappeared. Qin Etian did not return to his room, but said to Tangqing, Mr. Fang has a guest. Let's go and greet him. Tangqing grinned and said, yes, we should go and say hello. He thought to himself, I was right, you still care about me. You're still angry. Thinking that Qin Etian actually cared that Fang Yan was angry because he took another woman back to his room, the smile on Tangqing's face instantly froze. He wanted to cry. Bang. As the door to the room was closed, Xiaxia's heart also followed the sound of the door slamming heavily. A hotel on a high mountain, a man and a woman meeting for the first time, a tightly closed oak door. To be honest, such an environment was too dangerous, such an atmosphere was too ambiguous. Xiaxia was at a loss. She had been in the entertainment industry for many years. Because of her purity and good family environment, her life had always been simple and monotonous. She liked to sing, so she simply sang. She tried to act, but it was just a simple act. Her daily life and work matters were taken care of by her assistant and agent, and the company would come forward to solve the bigger matters. She rarely went to negotiate or communicate with others in person. Some people said that she was the goddess of the entertainment industry, and God rarely appeared in the public eye. Fang Yan saw Xiaxia's awkwardness and comforted her. Don't worry. I'm not as bad as you think. After listening to Fang Yan's comfort, Xiaxia was even more worried. However, she still pretended to be calm and said, I believe you, a martial artist who can play that kind of big pattern and momentum must not be a bad person. You can't say that. Fang Yan sighed. There are a lot of bastards in our circle, and their martial arts are quite good. He has both talent and looks. I just beat one away. Don't judge a book by its cover. The results could be very hurtful. Xiaji stared at Fang Yan even more vigilantly. She didn't know if she should choose to believe this seemingly honest guy or not judge a book by its cover and categorize him as a bastard. You still don't believe me? Fang Yan looked at Xia Chen's nervous expression and said, I have already shown my sincerity enough. If you really don't believe me, then I'll leave first. No need. Xia Ji hurriedly stopped her. Although she felt that this was a good idea, she really couldn't do such a rude thing. She was already very apologetic that the dove had occupied the bird's nest, but now she had chased the master out while staying in the room. Was this really okay? It had to be said that the summer goddess was quite gentle and kind. I'm just saying, Fang Yan said with a smile. If you agree, it proves that you don't believe me. If you don't believe me, I'm sure I won't help you anymore. We can't be good friends. Then I'll have to ask you to leave. You can take off the veil on your head. Fang Yan said. To be honest, Xia Chen really didn't want to take off the veil. Because of the cover of this white veil, she felt safer. Moreover, when she was angry or shy, she didn't have to worry about being seen. However, now that he had entered the room, wouldn't it be too disrespectful if he didn't take off the veil? Xia Ji turned around slightly and took off the white cloth on her head. Her elegant and refined face was revealed. Her cheeks were red, but her eyes didn't meet Fang Yan's gaze. She said, Teacher Fang Yan, why did you reject Zhang Wei's invitation? I sincerely want to cooperate with you. I've already explained it very clearly. If it's not a big production, I won't accept it. Fang Yan said. What's Tang Tianwang's first play? Black Man. I've read his biography. Xia said. Yeah. His first movie had a box office of over 1 billion. My first time on screen was just to be a male lead in MTV. Thinking about it made my heart feel very unbalanced. Am I worse than him? Obviously not. Oh right, I'm the male lead, right? Then what should I do? My new album will try to do some classical Hua Xia style songs. I want to film the scene of you doing Tai Chi. I only have one scene. It's a distant view. Do you see the face? I might not be able to. If you want to see, it's fine. We can discuss it. There was really no way to continue this topic. Fang Yan felt that he had been insulted. Fang Yan invited Xia Chen to sit down and lent her his phone so that she could call her assistant or manager and have them pick her up. Thank you. After making the call, he returned the phone to Fang Yan and said gratefully, You're welcome. Fang Yan said, I didn't intend to help you at first, but then your fans attacked me, so I deliberately didn't let them see you. Besides, you're also a star, and I feel very proud to help you. Xia Chen felt that he was about to collapse. Big brother, do you have to be so straightforward? You're hurting others like this, okay? Dong dong dong. There was a knock on the door. Xia Chen was shocked and looked at Fang Yan and said, Did they chase us here? Fang Yan walked over to open the door and said, I'll introduce 2 students to you. The door opened, and sure enough, Qin Etian and Tangqing stood at the door. Qin Etian looked at Xia Chen, and Xia Chen was also looking at the gentle but aggressive Qin Etian. This girl is so beautiful. Xia Chen thought in his heart. He also felt that beautiful was really difficult to describe Qin Etian's temperament. If he used arrogant, it would be a derogatory word. However, she was really proud of herself. Qin Etian ignored the existence of Fang Yan and went straight to Xia Chen. He took the initiative to reach out to Xia Chen and said, I like your role as Little Qing in Green Snake. It's gentle, seductive, full of spirituality and offensive. Thank you for giving this role a soul. I'm Qin Etian, a student of Fang Yan. Nice to meet you, Xia Chen. I'm also very happy to meet you. Xia Chen felt that everyone he saw today was so strange. The teacher's poisonous tongue was direct, and the students were arrogant and direct. There was no need for pleasantries or polite words. Everyone came naked without any fear or respect because of his identity as a big star. Qin Etian, you're really special. There are 4 seasons in a year, and each season has 91 days. Summer is not the most special. However, in the 1 3 billion Huaxia's mouth, there is only one singing and acting summer, and you are also the most special. Qin Yitian said with a smile. You know each other? Tangqing looked at Qin Yitian, then looked at Xia Chen, and asked with a surprised face. These two women looked very familiar. What made it even more difficult for him to understand was that Qin Yitian had been with him at that time, and Xia Chen was wrapped in white cloth and went upstairs with Fang Yan. Why was she so sure that woman was the big star Xia Chen? Qin Yitian turned to look at Tangqing and said, First, Fang Yan doesn't know Arabic, so it's impossible for him to bring an Arab woman back to get a room. Second, Xia Chen disappeared, and now all the tourists in the scenic area are looking for her. Third, I don't think it's strange for a woman to cover her head and face and wear a robe. A woman who dresses like this and wears this kind of boots must have just come back from ancient times, or is preparing to go back to ancient times. I think she should be the latter. In this case, there is only one person in the whole Shisha mountain who would do this kind of thing. Xia Chen. Tangqing was stunned. Fang Yan and Xia Chen also couldn't calm down for a long time. They thought it was foolproof, but it turned out that there were many loopholes in this girl's eyes. Whether you can conquer a woman or not, it doesn't just depend on whether you are good enough. Qin Yitian looked at Tangqing and said, You also have to be good at discovering and thinking, right? Tangqing said with a face of self-blame. He felt that he was too careless. Why couldn't he think of what Qin Yitian thought of? It also depends on your face. Qin Yitian said. Chapter 133. Liar. Tangqing said. He was better looking than Fang Yan, and he was the Prince Charming in the eyes of all the girls in Rosefinch High School. Why didn't Qin Yitian like him just because of his face? I said shameless. Qin Yitian said. Tangqing looked helpless. This sort of request was really too much to ask of him. Fang Yan laughed and said, Tangqing, it seems that you need to work harder. Shameless. Ha. This is what Mr. Fang is good at. Tangqing looked at Fang Yan who was laughing and said, I will learn from Mr. Fang. Puchi. This time, the person who couldn't help laughing was Xiaxia. It was so fun. These teachers and students were so fun. She had never seen a student who got along so well with the teacher, and she had never seen a middle school teacher who was so tolerant to the students. Moreover, a male student was pursuing another female student in front of the teacher. Such a thing made her very surprised. When she was in high school, her classmates didn't have the guts to talk about such a topic in front of the teacher. Even puppy love was strictly forbidden by the school. If the teacher knew that a boy and a girl in the class were close, they would try to separate them and even call their parents to complain. The current era was really very different from the past. Xiaxia goddess laughed so hard that she couldn't stand up straight with her hands on her stomach. Her eyes were red, and tears were about to flow out. Finding that everyone was looking at her with a strange expression, Xiaxia tried to stop laughing and said with a red face, I'm sorry. I just think that you guys are very interesting. So I couldn't help laughing. I didn't mean to. Teacher Fang Yan is interesting, we are far from it. Tangqing said with a sour heart. This request of Qin Yitian really put him in a difficult position. If she asked for other things, any of them, he could change for her and try his best to fulfill them. However, if he were to be shameless, it would really make one anxious. You think you can be shameless just because you don't want to? Shameless and still making people think that she was cute. This required talent, okay? Ovo Fang Yan was very angry. Student Tangqing, have you ever touched your own conscience when you slander me like this? Who was the one who risked his life to save you when you were ambushed by Chiba Halmu? Even if you're an ungrateful person, there should be a time limit, right? How long has it been since I saved you? Look. Tangqing pointed at Fang Yan and said to Xiaxia, Mr. Fang is really interesting. It's true that you saved me, but is that considered risking your life? You suddenly erupted into a Super Saiyan and beat the little monster to the point that it couldn't fight back, but I didn't see you facing any life-threatening danger. Besides, he was worried that the Wu Rin investigation team would take revenge on him, and he was also worried that he would be punished by the school leaders. So, He ran to the ward and threatened to pretend to be in a vegetative state. Was that really a good thing to do? Xiachen suddenly envied this kind of teacher-student relationship. He looked at Fang Yan and said, "Your students must like you a lot, right? There's no reason for them not to like me." Fang Yan said, "It's not that I'm bragging to you, but it's not easy to find a teacher like me. They all understand this." "I'm really confused. You're so good at Tai Chi, why did you become a teacher?" "Tai Chi teacher?" Just. With Fang Yan's students by her side, Xiachen wasn't as nervous and restrained as before. Moreover, she felt that Fang Yan was a very interesting person and wanted to know more about him. Only by knowing what kind of person he was would it be convenient for them to cooperate in the future. "I'm a language teacher," Fang Yan said with a smile. "I know more than just Tai Chi. Mr. Fang also knows how to fence," Tangxing said. Fang Yan was furious and said, "Tangxing, why are you cursing again?" "Mr. Fang, I'm talking about the sword of the treasured sword, not the cheap of the slut." "Of course I know that's what you're talking about," Fang Yan said. "I'm just joking with you." With a smile on his face, Xiaxia looked at Fang Yan and asked, "Mr. Fang, do we really not have a chance to cooperate? I want to make a Huaxia-style song, and I want to fuse more Huaxia elements into it. I feel that Tai Chi is indispensable. As for you, I was very moved when I saw the great momentum of Tai Chi at the peak of the Xianxia mountain. I think we can try to cooperate." "I'll think about it," Fang Yan said. Seeing that Fang Yan was still unwilling to agree to her invitation, Xiaxia no longer forced herself to change the topic. She chatted with Fang Yan Tangxing about the interesting things that happened in school when she was studying. Qin Yin sat on a chair, sipping tea as she listened. She rarely spoke. Compared to the summer, she was more like a big star. Dong, dong, there was a knock on the door. Fang Yan saw two men and a woman standing at the door with worried faces from the peephole. He turned around and said, "Zhang Wei is here." As he spoke, he also opened the door. Feng Yuanqing was the first to rush in. Seeing Xiaxia, who was sitting on the chair, safe and sound, he asked anxiously, "Xia, are you all right?" Feng Yuanqing's face was covered in sweat, and his clothes were tattered by the thorns on the tree branches. From the looks of it, he did run a lot, and he was very worried and concerned about Xiaxia. "I'm fine," Xiaxia said with a smile. "It's all thanks to teacher Fang Yan's help. Otherwise, I would be in a terrible situation right now. Those people were chasing too closely. It wasn't easy to get rid of them. When I ran back to look for you, I couldn't find you anymore. It's good that you're fine." Feng Yuanqing looked at Fang Yan warily and said, "Let's go. We can't stay here for long. We have to hurry down the mountain. If those fanatical fans find out about this place, we won't be able to leave even if we want to." Xiaxia stood up and thanked Fang Yan once again, saying, "Mr. Fang, thank you very much. If it's convenient, can you leave a business card for us to contact?" "I don't have a business card." Fang Yan smiled and shook his head. "Then, it's fine to write down a phone number." Xia Ji insisted. Feng Yuanqing saw that Xiaxia was too enthusiastic about the young man in front of him and said with great dissatisfaction, "Xia, let's go first. Let Assistant Zhang contact him." Xiaxia's expression changed slightly, but he forced himself not to say anything. Fang Yan was very unhappy. He looked at Feng Yuanqing and said, "Do you like Miss Xia a lot?" "What did you say?" Feng Yuanqing said with an unfriendly expression. "If you like it, then you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't like it. You don't even have the courage to admit your feelings? What does my business have to do with you?" Feng Yuanqing said with a sneer. "Why should I tell you?" Feng Yuanqing was not stupid. If he confessed his feelings for Xiaxia on the spot, if the media found out about this, it would definitely cause a raging storm. It would be fine if Xiaxia accepted his pursuit, but if he didn't, it would be a huge loss of face. Of course it does. If you want to pursue Miss Xia, you have to at least be more open-minded and calm. Based on my many years of experience with women, Miss Xia is a gentle and kind woman. This kind of woman hates petty men the most. If you don't want to lose the chance to compete for Miss Xia, then quickly apologize to me and ask me to forgive you. If you do, don't worry, I won't deliberately make things difficult for you. Why should I apologize to you? Why should I ask for your forgiveness? Feng Yuanqing was really angered by Fang Yan. What did I do to you? I didn't do anything. Miss Xia and I are friends. We are friends, so why are you getting involved in the middle? Fang Yan then revealed the real reason for his dissatisfaction. Friend? Feng Yuanqing's face was full of ridicule. Do you think anyone can become friends with Xiaxia after saying a few words? I know you helped Xiaxia, and I will get someone to repay you. But don't carelessly make friends. It's not appropriate for others to laugh at you and make yourself a laughing stock. What do you mean by that? Who do you think you are? Tang Qing was angry and said rudely in front of Fang Yan. His feelings for Fang Yan were very complicated. He was grateful to Fang Yan from the bottom of his heart for saving his life, admired his erudition and worshipped his deep martial arts foundation. However, Qin Etienne's initiative to attack Fang Yan gave him a headache. After all, Qin Etienne was the one and only girl in his life. He really didn't know how he could persist if there was no Qin Etienne in his life. Maybe he would usually tease or ridicule Fang Yan, but when outsiders came to attack Fang Yan, he couldn't bear to be the first to jump out to help Fang Yan. Why can't Mr. Fang be friends with Xiaxia? Can it be that Xiaxia's friend can only be a pretty boy like you? Who are you calling a pretty boy? Do you believe that I will let someone sue you for slander? Feng Yuanqing was really angry. He was indeed young and his skin was very white, but he saw himself as an idol and a powerful actor. Wasn't it insulting to be called a pretty boy? If you don't learn well at such a young age, you won't have any future prospects when you grow up. This time, Fang Yan was not going to let it go. You can't scold him, but you can scold his students for growing up to be useless. Isn't that a blatant slap in his face? This was even more unacceptable. Fang Yan looked at Xia Ji and asked, "Are we friends?" Xia glanced at Feng Yuanqing and said in a soft but firm voice, "Yes. You are my friend." Chapter 134. You're also my friend. Fang Yan said solemnly. The reason he asked Xia Chen if he was his friend was to know what to do next. If Xia despised her identity as a teacher, or if she felt that Feng Yuanqing was more important to her, in order to take care of Feng Yuanqing's face, she would give a negative answer. Then, from now on, the two of them would no longer have any interactions. Moreover, he would no longer take into account Xia Chen's wishes and attitude when dealing with this matter. So what if you're a big star? It's not like you'll give me $1 million or a sincere smile. Now that Xia Chen said that he was her friend, Fang Yan had to consider her feelings and feelings. The fact that she was able to say such words in such an environment proved that she really valued him and his help to her. This was a good woman of good character. Feng Yuanqing looked at Xia Ji with a face full of shock, a little incredulous that she would make such a choice. He and Xia Chen had known each other for many years and had a close relationship. Moreover, they were the male and female leads of the same show. Whether it was public or private, he should be on his side, right? Who was that guy? He was just a nameless little minion that he had met for the first time. How could she hurt herself for him? Did she know how sad, and how shameful she would be if she did this? If he took too big a step, he would pull on his eggs. Feng Yuanqing suddenly felt that this world was too dark. Feng Yuanqing looked at Xia Chen in disbelief and asked in confusion. Feng Yuanqing, Fang Yan is my friend. Xia Chen said again, just like you are my friend. But we've known each other for many years. Feng Yuanqing was heartbroken. Old friends are friends and new friends are also friends. Xia said. She had a soft personality and didn't like to argue with others. Therefore, many things were based on the principle of, I would rather have less trouble than trouble. However, this did not mean that she was an idiot who did not understand human emotions. If she was really such a woman, she would not have been able to achieve what she had today. She and Feng Yuanqing had known each other for many years. Because Feng Yuanqing had deliberately gotten close to her, and Feng Yuanqing himself was not some evil man, the two of them could be considered to have a close personal relationship. This time, the company asked her and Feng Yuanxing to play the male and female leads of the same play, and she did not reject it. Feng Yuanxing was quite popular and had good acting skills. He was definitely qualified to be the male lead. However, Feng Yuanxing had a trait that made people uncomfortable, and that was that he loved to make choices for others. He will order his favorite dishes for you to eat. If he likes it, he'll pour it for you. He will help you choose your clothes. He will interfere with your freedom of life. For example, just now, when Xiaxia was asking for Fang Yan's phone number, Feng Yuanxing put his arm around her shoulder and wanted to take her away. Xiachen was really grateful to Fang Yan. If it wasn't for Fang Yan's selfless help, she might have encountered a lot of trouble today. If there were people with malicious intentions inside, she might encounter many unimaginable things. Through the short period of contact, although Fang Yan's mouth was a little poisonous and his words and actions were a little too direct, he was still a good person. Moreover, he was really good at Tai Chi. She really wanted to invite Fang Yan to join the production of her new album. She respected Feng Yuanxing and treated her as a friend. However, a friend did not mean that he could make all the decisions for her. Xia, don't misunderstand. I'm just afraid that you'll be tricked. Feng Yuanxing quickly explained. He really couldn't understand. Could a new friend compare to an old friend? Besides, why could he become a friend of Xiachen? Just because he was lucky enough to help Xiachen today? The people who wanted to help Xia Tian could line up from the top of the mountain to the downtown area of Huaqing. Could it be that everyone could become friends with Xia Tian? Tangqing was furious and said, "Who are you calling a liar? I'll say who's guilty." Feng Yuanxing also felt that it was meaningless to compete with a little brat. However, he didn't bring any staff or assistants with him, so there was no one to speak for him. If he didn't retaliate, then he would only be able to suffer in silence. Xiaxia glanced at Feng Yuanxing and said, "This is my business. I believe I will handle it well." Feng Yuanxing smiled awkwardly and said, "I believe in you too. I'll wait for you at the door. Don't delay too long. I'm worried that they'll discover your whereabouts and chase after us. If that happens, it'll be troublesome for us to leave." Feng Yuanxing turned around and was about to leave when he heard someone shout from behind, "Wait a minute." Feng Yuanxing turned to look at Fang Yan and said with a frown, "What do you want?" "Did you see me playing Tai Chi in the Lion Gorge?" Fang Yan asked. Feng Yuanxing carefully sized up Fang Yan and said in surprise, "Is that you?" Of course, he knew that someone was playing Tai Chi in the direction of the Lion Gorge. Because the sky was still dark and the distance was too far, he could only see a blurry figure, but he couldn't see Fang Yan's appearance clearly. Now that he heard it from Fang Yan himself, he knew that the guy standing in front of him was the Tai Chi performer. Feng Yuanxing also knew that Fang Yan had rejected Zhang Wei's invitation. How did they get together again? Could it be that kid was playing hard to get? "It's me," Fang Yan said with a smile. "If I fight with you, you won't even have the chance to make a move. Are you threatening me?" Feng Yuanxing said coldly. "It's not a threat. I just want to tell you that if I'm in a bad mood and beat you up, you can only cry for help. Can I call the police?" Feng Yuanxing said with a disdainful expression. "If you dare to touch me, do you know what kind of consequences you will have to bear? I will beat you to the ground." Fang Yan said. Feng Yuanxing arrogantly raised his head, his face full of mockery. "I will strip you naked and take nude photos of you," Fang Yan said. Feng Yuanxing's eyes were like knives as he stared at Fang Yan fiercely. "I will strip him naked too and let the two of you hug each other and take nude photos." Fang Yan pointed to Zhang Wei and said. Zhang Wei was anxious and said, "Why me? Why can't it be you? I'm not familiar with you." Fang Yan said. "Besides, there are only 3 men in this room. One is my apprentice and the other is myself. Neither of us is suitable. I can only trouble you to help me on camera. You don't have to worry, I have no enmity with you. I just want to ask you for a small favor." Zhang Wei felt that he had been shot even though he was lying down. "What do you want?" Feng Yuanxing said angrily. "Apologize," Fang Yan said. Apologize to my students, apologize to my students and teachers. Feng Yuanqing was silent, unwilling to bow to Fang Yan in front of Xia. Kach, Tangqing crushed the glass in his hand, then grabbed a handful of glass fragments and looked at Feng Yuanqing with a cold smile. I'm sorry. Feng Yuanqing clenched his fists and said while gritting his teeth. Fang Yan looked at Qin Etienne and asked, Did you record it? Qin Etienne folded his arms and replied indifferently. He looked as if it had nothing to do with him. Then say it again. Fang Yan said to Feng Yuanqing. Let me record it. Xia left. She was picked up by her assistant manager. When she left, she once again invited Fang Yan, hoping that he could join the production of her new album. Fang Yan once again tactfully refused. Feng Yuanqing also left. He left with his enmity and hatred towards Fang Yan. Fang Yan didn't care about it at all. He wasn't going to make a living behind Feng Yuanqing's butt, so he didn't care about his attitude. The students who couldn't find Xia's whereabouts all came back. Jiang Qin and Yuan Lin also came back. Fang Yan asked Huang Haoren to organize the team again, and then brought a group of students down the mountain. At the foot of the mountain, they took a tourist bus back to the city. Jiang Qin's home was in the western part of the city. When the tourist bus passed by the western part of the city, Jiang Qin and Yuan Lin had to get off early. Jiang Qin sat next to Fang Yan and reluctantly looked at Fang Yan and said, Mr. Fang, you promised me. You will invite me to visit your place and help me with my homework. I just said that I would invite you to visit my place. I didn't say that I would help you with your homework. Fang Yan said with a smile. You said it, you can't deny it. Jiang Qin said rudely. Yes. You said it, I heard it all. Yuan Lin chimed in from the side. Fang Yan nodded helplessly and said, Okay. If there is anything you don't understand, you can ask me. You should go back quickly. Don't play too late and let your family worry. Don't worry. Our family will be very relieved. Jiang Qin said with a smile. Because we are with you. Don't you believe in yourself? Fang Yan smiled and waved to the two little girls. Jiang Qin and Yuan Lin carried the drawing board and the toolbox and waved to Fang Yan. Then, they waved to the other students of the 9th class and said, Goodbye, senior sisters. It's a pleasure to see you. Goodbye, little beauty. Jiang Qin, Yuan Lin, goodbye. Come and find us often to play. After a day of getting along, Jiang Qin and Yuan Lin had become friends with the students of the 9th class. Everyone's relationship was very good. Seeing them leave early, the students were a bit reluctant. I will come and find you often, Jiang Qin said with a chuckle. You still have to find our Mr. Fang. Everyone laughed and waved goodbye. Jiang Qin and Yuan Lin got off the bus. When the door was about to close, Jiang Qin suddenly squeezed out from the door. The bus driver was shocked and shouted, Girl, do you want to die? Jiang Qin's face was red. She put a paper tube in Fang Yan's hand and said, Uncle, this is for you. After that, she turned around and ran out of the bus. Fang Yan was left with a thin body and a flying ponytail. Chapter 135. Because it was a school-chartered bus, the tour bus drove directly to the campus of Rosefinch Secondary before stopping. The students carried their luggage and got off the bus one after another. Everyone who left would warmly greet Fang Yan and say, See you tomorrow. Through this trip to Xianxia Mountain, the relationship between Fang Yan and the students of the 9th class had taken a step closer. His prestige in the eyes of the students was rising day by day. Zheng Guodong carried his bag and got off the bus. He glanced at Fang Yan and left with a complicated expression. Li Yang and Chen Tao walked to Fang Yan. Li Yang said, Mr. Fang? Thank you. Fang Yan patted Li Yang's shoulder and said, I'm your teacher. I just did what I should do. You're students. You should also do what you should do. Chen Tao's arm was still a bit stiff, so Li Yang helped him carry his bag. He stood in front of Fang Yan and said guiltily, Mr. Fang, we've done a lot of things to let you down in the past. I thought a lot last night. Zheng Guodong suddenly turned around and glared fiercely at Li Yang and Chen Tao. He shouted, You two? How long are you going to dawdle? Chen Tao wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he just lowered his head and sighed as he walked toward Zhengguodong. Li Yang smiled apologetically at Fang Yan and hurriedly carried a few bags and ran forward. Qin Yitian stood in front of Fang Yan and glanced at the backs of Zhengguodong, Li Yang, and Qin Tao who were walking away. He said in a flat tone, "It seems that the effect of buying people's hearts is not bad. Someone is ready to surrender?" Fang Yan looked at Qin Yitian in surprise and said, "What do you know?" "I know I should know." Qin Yitian waved at Fang Yan and casually walked out of the school with his hands in the pockets of his hoodie. Tang Qing waved his hand at Fang Yan and quickly caught up with Qin Yitian in front of him, saying, "Qin Yitian, let me take you home." "No need. I can protect you." "I don't need protection. I can talk to you." "I don't like talking." "It's your right to refuse, but it's my right to accompany and protect you." Tang Qing insisted that he would send Qin Yitian home even if he had to die. "You can't stop me from exercising my rights." Qin Yitian stopped. He looked at Tang Qing and said, "You have indeed become very shameless." Tang Qing blushed and said embarrassedly, "I'm learning from Mr. Fang." Fang Yan doesn't blush when he says this. Qin Yitian looked at Fang Yan from a distance and said, "I'll continue to learn." Tang Qing looked like he was drunk, and his face was even redder. His bashful look was really a very cute boy. "You are not him and don't learn from him," Qin Yitian advised. She turned around and walked away, saying, "If you want to accompany me, follow me." "Really?" Tang Qing was overjoyed. He followed Qin Yitian happily and said, "How do you usually go home? Do we take the bus or take a taxi? The bus is too crowded, and the weather is so hot. I'm afraid you won't be used to it. Let's take a taxi. It's more spacious and air-conditioned. Of course, if you like the bus, it doesn't matter. I can accompany you." Before he could finish his sentence, Tang Qing saw a majestic and unusually dazzling Gallas Royce parked in front of the school gate. Seeing Qin Yitian coming, the door of the passenger seat was pushed open. An old man in a black robe with a straight back took the initiative to open the door of the back seat and made a very respectful invitation gesture to Qin Yitian. Qin Yitian got into the back seat, and the door was closed with a bang. The old man in the black robe smiled at Tang Qing, then turned around and got into the driver's seat. The Rolls-Royce started and drove toward the bustling Mingguang Street. Tang Qing ran a few steps after the car and stopped helplessly. No matter how good his martial arts skills were, it was impossible for him to run faster than a four-wheeled luxury car. The autumn leaves were falling, and the cool wind was bleak, blowing Tang Qing's hair and clothes. Standing alone in the middle of the road, Tang Qing's eyes were sad, and he looked like a poor child who was forgotten by the world. The greed. Tang Qing felt that his heart was tightly clenched by something, and it was faintly painful. "Agreed to let me take you home." Zhengguodong's body lay heavily on the expensive leather sofa in the living room of the villa, and he shouted, "Give me a glass of orange juice." The servant knew the habits of the young master, so she quickly ran to take the juice from the icebox and carefully sent it to Zhengguodong. Zhengguodong took the juice and took a sip. Then he called the two brothers who came back with him and stood in the living room and said, "Are you too stupid? Take whatever you want to eat and drink." "What? Are you being polite to me?" Li Yang and Qin Tao looked at each other and quickly ran to the icebox to get Coke. Li Yang looked at Zhengguodong and said, "Young master, you must be tired after walking for so long. How about Qin Tao and I go back first and you rest?" Qin Tao also echoed and said, "Zheng that thing. Although it's over, Zheng still needs to take care of his body. It's better to go to your family's private hospital to have a physical examination. Don't let anything go wrong." "Are you two done yet?" Zhengguodong squinted at Li Yang and Qin Tao and said with a thoughtful expression, "I couldn't drive you two away before. Why are you in such a hurry to go back today?" Li Yang chuckled and said, "Young master, I'm afraid I'll disturb your rest." "You're tired, we're tired too." Zhengguodong threw the half-finished fruit cup on the tea table in front of him and said, "Tired? What's there to be tired about? Fang Yan, that pervert. There was a cable car but he didn't let us take it. He made us walk up and down the mountain. He's sick in the head. He must have been so poor when he was young that he couldn't bear to take out a few dozen yuan. If I had known he was so poor, I would have bought him a ticket. After a pause, he continued to scold, "Of all places to travel? Why did we have to go to Shisha Mountain? If we didn't go to that damn place, would we have encountered such a thing? We almost lost our little life. Fang Yan is really our bane." Li Yang and Chen Tao lowered their heads and drank coke, pretending not to hear Zheng Guodong's insults and attacks on Fang Yan. "I'm bored to death." Zheng Guodong scolded a few times and felt bored. He said to his two friends, Li Yang and Chen Tao, "Let's go. Play a few games with me." Zheng Guodong turned on the TV, took out the game controller and threw it to Li Yang and Chen Tao, saying, 100 yuan per game. Ting. Li Yang held the controller and wanted to refuse. "Cut the crap. Start." Zheng Guodong said impatiently. Li Yang and Chen Tao had no choice but to sit on either side of Zheng Guodong. Just like before, they clustered Zheng Guodong in the middle and began to play the game. Zheng Guodong used the game controller to control the characters in the game and was invincible. Li Yang and Chen Tao were completely out of it. From time to time, they could hear their screams of death. Zheng Guodong was finally angry. He smashed the game controller on the ground and scolded, "Are you too sick in the head? Don't you know how to play the game? Do I need you to go easy on me?" Li Yang smiled and said, "Master, we are not in a good state, not in a good state. I think it's not that you are not in a good state, but that you are disloyal." Zheng Guodong stared at Li Yang with a ferocious expression and roared, "What? Fang Yan saved you once, and now he's bribed you? Now you think that I, Zheng Guodong, am a scumbag and don't want to play with me? Li Yang, Chen Tao, don't forget that everything I do has a part in it. You are the same as me, scumbags and ruffians. Don't think that you are more noble than me." "Zheng actually Mr. Fang?" Chen Tao still wanted to say a word for Fang Yan. "Tsk, you call him so affectionately. You call him Mr. Fang." Zheng Guodong interrupted Chen Tao's words. "Didn't you call him a bastard before? Why did you change it now? Did you surrender to him? Are you ready to betray me?" "Master, we didn't mean that." Li Yang's forehead was covered with sweat. He explained, "Chen Tao and I just thought that we and Mr. Fang Yan, actually don't have any deep hatred, right? And this time he really saved us from that place. We still have to acknowledge this kindness, right? Let's put the past behind us. From now on we will call him teacher. In fact, if we think about it carefully, he is a good person. Why do we have to go against him? What do you think, master?" Zheng Guodong sized up Li Yang and Chen Tao. He sneered. "Interesting. It's really interesting. I always thought that you two were on my side. I thought that the three of us were brothers. I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. Now my brother is going to betray me and stand on my enemy's side." Zheng Guodong's voice became vicious as he said, "Li Yang, Chen Tao, since you don't treat me as a brother now, I'll tell you the truth. If you want your father to keep his current position, and if you don't want to get yourself into trouble, you'd better shut your mouths. Never say a bad word about me. If I find out, not only will you be out of luck, but I won't let your families go. Do you remember it clearly?" Li Yang and Chen Tao's faces were pale. They didn't know how to deal with Zheng Guodong's threat. Zheng Guodong waved his hand and said, "Get out of here. From today onwards, we're no longer brothers." Li Yang and Chen Tao looked at each other. They picked up the packages on the ground and left resolutely. Zheng Guodong sat on the carpet and looked at the fleeing figures of the two people through the floor-to-ceiling window. A cruel smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Chapter 136. When Fang Yan returned home, Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were having dinner. Braised pork, braised fish, braised eggplant, stir-fried water spinach with garlic. Although they were all braised, the dishes were quite sumptuous. Fang Yan was shocked. He knew that hero and warrior didn't know how to cook. Even if he tried to cook, he could only make a bowl of egg-fried rice or egg instant noodles. "Will Junior Martial Uncle beat us when he comes back?" Fang Haohan asked worriedly while stuffing the braised pork into his mouth. "He will eat his fill before he beats us," Fang Yingying said. He won't have the strength to beat us if he's full. Fang Yan sneered and said, in order to prevent you from guessing, should I first exercise and beat you up before coming to eat? Junior martial uncle? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen quickly stood up. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, that's enough. Don't pretend. I opened the door so loudly, I don't believe you didn't hear it. Fang Yan glanced at the kitchen and asked, who cooked? Master, it's me. Zhang Chen, with an apron around his neck, stood shyly at the door of the kitchen, like a young wife who had just married into the family. It turns out to be Coach Zhang, Fang Yan said with a smile. He walked over and shook hands with Zhang Chen, saying, Coach Zhang has worked hard. These two lazy guys from Hero and Warrior are too outrageous. They even invited Coach Zhang to be their chef. It's really a waste of talent. Zhang Chen smiled bitterly. Fang Yan called him Coach Zhang instead of Zhang Chen, which meant that he was driving him out. He was still unwilling to accept her as his disciple. Zhang Chen really wanted to roar, why do you respect me so much? Why do you respect me so much? Can't you just scold me, kick me, or slap me a few times? Do you have any sense of loyalty? What kind of broken world is this? Zhang Chen was a man who would not easily repent once he had set his goal. Otherwise, he would not have persisted on this path for so many years. With his skills, many headhunters had come to him and offered him a salary that was 10 times or even dozens of times more than what he was earning as a teacher in a martial arts school. They invited him to be a bodyguard for some big shots, but he rejected all of them. He had a heart of martial arts. He constantly polished his body and tempered his skin and bones in order to go further and further on this road. Therefore, he would never give up so easily. Zhang Chen ran over and pulled out the chair for the main seat. He smiled at Fang Yan and said, Master, are you hungry? Sit down and eat first. I'll cook some seaweed soup and it'll be done. Coach Zhang, don't be so polite. I'll wait for you, Fang Yan said with a smile. He went to the bathroom to wash his hands, then came back and slapped the heads of the heroes and scolded, how can a guest eat before the host? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen looked aggrieved. Fang Haohen said, it was Zhang Chen who asked us to eat first. I asked you not to eat first, Fang Yan said angrily. Although our Fang family is a family of martial arts, we must always remember the words, respect, thriftiness, benevolence, and courtesy. We are martial artists. We have ideals, morals, feelings, and are very polite. We don't spit on the ground or urinate on the side of the road. If you only have skills but no quality, you will be reduced to a low-level bore. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen were too straightforward, and they rarely went out before. Fang Yan was worried that they would be cheated by others. That was why he educated them at the dinner table. Junior martial uncle is right. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen bowed their heads and accepted the lesson. Nonsense. Fang Yan said angrily, will I say it if it's wrong? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohen looked at each other and sighed inwardly. It seemed that they couldn't help Zhang Chen and his brother. Fang Yan really didn't plan to accept apprentices at this time. The last pot of seaweed soup was served. Zhang Chen refused to sit at the table, so he was dragged up by Fang Yan. Moreover, he sat opposite to Fang Yan. Fang Yan looked at Zhang Chen and said with a smile, Coach Zhang, we are friends of the same generation. Don't be so polite. Come over often in the future when you have time. Let's have a few drinks. I heard that Coach Zhang has a big appetite. Master. Zhang Chen tried hard to maintain a smile on his face and said, I will come over to cook for you and my senior brothers every day in the future. That won't do. Fang Yan hurriedly stopped him. Coach Zhang is the gold medal coach of Glory Martial Arts School. He is a famous figure in Huacheng's martial arts world. How can I let you come over to cook for us every day? I can't take it. Just come once every 2 or 3 days. Let's drink happily and have a good time. Fang Yan thought that it wasn't a good idea to let Zhang Chen cook every day. They owed him too much. It wasn't appropriate to always bring heroes to eat in the cafeteria. To be honest, the food in the school cafeteria really wasn't to their liking. If Zhang Chen could come over every 2 or 3 days to improve their lives, Fang Yan could still accept this result. Then I will come once every 2 or 3 days, Zhang said happily. Master, let me toast you. Coach Zhang, let's have a toast. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan buried their heads in the food. They felt that the situation in front of them was too complicated, and their intelligence was obviously not enough to handle it. The banquet was lively and festive, especially for the female guests. There were all kinds of strange news and gossip. After the aunties and aunties finished discussing which world-class brand's new products were the best to see, which celebrity had undergone plastic surgery to become the boss's mistress, and which person had bought a mansion in Europe, they finally turned their attention to Lu Xiaoge, who had been sitting there the whole night without saying a word except for greeting everyone. Xiaoge, which school are you still working as the vice principal of? I don't want to criticize you, but what's so good about being a vice principal? How much salary can they pay you every month? It's not even enough for me to buy a scarf from Hermes. You don't understand, do you? It's because of her hobby. Can hobbies have anything to do with money? Plus, doesn't Xiaoge have Zhu Lu to rely on? She won't have to worry about money with Jiang Zhulu around. That's right. Xiaoge, tell me, when are you and Zhu Lu getting married? I'm still waiting to attend your wedding. The woman then turned to Rin Jin, Jiang Zhulio's mother, who was sitting next to Lu Xiaoge. Rin Jin, as their mother, shouldn't you tell them to hurry up? Rin Jin swirled the wine in her glass gracefully and took a sip. Only then did she reply, I can't rush the kids. But don't worry, I won't keep you waiting for too long. Zhu Lu and Xiaoge grew up together and they're very close. I'm Xiaoge's mother now and I'll always be her mother. That's right. I think it's a done deal too. She can't run away, another lady chimed in. Lu Xiaoge and Jiang Zhulu are a match made in heaven. This is something that everyone in our flower city knows. Xiaoge, don't say I didn't warn you. You have to hold on to a man like Jiang Zhulu. There are so many pretty girls out there, and they're all shameless. Don't let them steal him away. It'll be too late for regrets. Lu Xiaoge's mouth was dry and her body felt like it was on fire. She wanted to throw up, but she had to nod and smile stiffly at these relatives in front of her, these aunties whom she barely had any contact with. Dealing with fake relationships like this was exhausting, even more so than working overtime for a week. Just then, a handsome man walked up to Lu Xiaoge. Resting his hands on the back of the chair Lu Xiaoge was sitting in, he bent down and whispered in Lu Xiaoge's ear, Are you feeling unwell? A little, Lu Xiaoge whispered. Jiang Zhulu, the male protagonist these aunties and aunties were talking about, appeared. Give me 30 seconds, Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. Looking up at the ladies, he smiled as gently as a spring breeze and said, Ladies, I know you're all in the mood, but I have to interrupt. Xiaoge's stomach felt a little unwell when she left home today, and I'd like to take her back to rest. How can we say no to that? Zhulu is such a considerate man. Xiaoge is so happy, go ahead. Time is precious for young people, unlike old people like us. Although Lu Xiaoge didn't like Jiang Zhulio's public display of affection, she couldn't wait to get out of this place and breathe some fresh air. I'm sorry. I'm going back. Lu Xiaoge got up and apologized to everyone. As the black Bentley sped along the road, Jiang Zhulu looked at Lu Xiaoge, who was sitting in the passenger seat, and said with a smile, Xiaoge, it's still early. Do you want to have a drink somewhere? Lu Xiaoge refused. I'm tired. I want to rest. Fine. I'll drive you back, Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. He wasn't upset at Lu Xiaoge's refusal. Lu Xiaoge nodded and looked out the window at the night view of Huaqing. Nights in Huaqing were charming, but she was rarely in the mood to enjoy them. Just then, a familiar building appeared in front of her. Stop the car at the school gate, Lu Xiaoge said all of a sudden. Xiaoge, aren't you tired? Jiang Zhulu asked in bewilderment. I suddenly feel like taking a walk at school, Lu Xiaoge said. Screech. The luxury car stopped at the gate of Rosefinch Secondary and Lu Xiaoge unbuckled her seatbelt to get out. Xiaoge. Jiang Zhulu hesitated. Do you want me to go for a walk with you? Lu Xiaoge stopped and thought for a moment, then said, Next time. The muscles on Jiang Zhulio's face twitched and he said with a smile, Next time then. He knew that when a woman said next time, she meant it. Chapter 137. We are always attracted by towering buildings and world-famous logos, but have we ever noticed that the small life is equally moving? The autumn wind caressed her face, and the moon and stars filled the sky. Mellow, sweet, intermittent, and indistinct. You don't have to deliberately breathe, and don't be distracted to look for it. Inadvertently, it will fill your nose and mouth, and fill your internal organs. The fragrance of osmanthus fills the garden in October. Lu Chaoga stood in the osmanthus forest and sighed softly. She was too busy with work and had too many things on her mind. She hadn't come here for a long time. She raised her face and closed her eyes, carefully enjoying the beautiful scenery and the intoxicating fragrance. Her heart was full of regret. If the camera could capture this quietly blooming fragrance, she would definitely find a way to save it. Lu Chaoga walked aimlessly along the osmanthus forest. She didn't think about anything, and there was no one to talk to. She had already turned off her cell phone. She was too bored. She just wanted to go out for a walk. If you even think that breathing is a luxury, then you have to reflect on your life. Lu Chaoga felt that she should reflect on herself. How long would this road go on? How long would this kind of life go on? Most importantly, would she be able to persevere? Because the boring dinner party ended early, it was still early. Some students who slept late were swimming along the banks of the Sparrow River. There were students playing basketball on the basketball court. On the Sparrow Bridge, a handsome boy holding a guitar was singing, "That's the person I miss day and night. How should I express to her that she will accept me?" Most of the time, Lu Chaoga sat on the rostrum of the conference. It was rare for her to listen to their songs as an ordinary audience member, and to hear them express their lives and feelings like she did today. She stood in the shadow of the forest, where it was not easy to be discovered, and listened to one young song after another. It wasn't until a boy singing an English song broke his voice that she smiled and turned to leave. Unknowingly, she walked to the small courtyard assigned to her by the school. She stood at the entrance of the courtyard, hesitated, and decided not to enter. She didn't want to go in and ruin other people's lives. Just as he was about to leave, he heard a moving sound coming from inside. Lu Chaoga frowned slightly. When she gave the house to Fang Yan, she had made a promise with him, one of which was that he was not allowed to bring in random people to disturb the neighbor's rest. Now that he heard the movements inside, it was clear that Fang Yan had violated the rules. Lu Chaoga pushed open the wooden door and saw two men punching and kicking each other in the yard. They looked extremely fierce and dangerous. "Stop!" Lu Chaoga shouted. Fang Yingying and Zhang Chen, who were fighting, immediately jumped back and looked at Lu Chaoga in surprise. Fang Yan and Fang Haohen were watching and cheering. Seeing Lu Chaoga suddenly appear, he jogged to Lu Chaoga and said with a smile, "Principal Lu, why are you here so late at night?" Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan and asked in an unfriendly tone, "Fang Yan, what are you guys doing?" "Meeting friends through martial arts," Fang Yan said innocently. He pointed at Zhang Chen and said, "Principal Lu, let me introduce you. This is brilliant martial arts school's gold medal coach, Zhang Chen. He is a famous kickboxing expert in Huaqing." Lu Chaoga just wanted to calm down, but her eyes inadvertently saw a flower pot that had been kicked to pieces at the edge of the yard. She suddenly got angry and said coldly, "I don't care if he is an expert or an amateur. I just want to know what you guys are doing right now. Look at the time. What if you guys disturb others' rest by fighting like this? When I let you live in the house, what did I say to you? First, help me take care of the flowers and plants in the house. If a pot dies or withered, I will find you to settle accounts. Now that the flower pot has been kicked to pieces by you guys, what if the flowers die? Second, the house has to be cleaned seriously. Have you cleaned seriously? Look at the leaves in the yard, look at the watermelon skin in the corner. Is this how you fulfill your responsibility? Also, I said that you are not allowed to bring outsiders in so as not to disturb the neighbor's rest. Have you done that? Fang Yan, I trust you so much. Is this how you treat my trust?" Originally, Lu Chaoga had been suppressing her anger that night. After walking around the school for a while, her anger had mostly dissipated. She didn't expect her anger to increase exponentially when she saw Fang Yan. When the iceberg beauty flipped out, It looked quite scary. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan didn't understand the relationship between this woman and junior martial uncle, so they didn't dare to speak rashly. Zhang Chen was the culprit who kicked the flower pot. He wanted to apologize and put the blame on himself. But Lu Chaoga's firepower was too strong. He couldn't find a chance to speak at all. Finished? Fang Yan looked at Lu Chaoga with a smile and asked, "Do you feel better?" Fang Yan continued to ask. Fang Yan reached out and grabbed Lu Chaoga's arm and said, "Your heart is full of depression. It's hard to release the anger. The cold last time was already a symptom. If you don't release it in time, it may become more serious. Let's go, I will help you release the anger." "Let go," Lu Chaoga said angrily. "Don't move. I am helping you treat the disease," Fang Yan said seriously. Fang Yan dragged Lu Chaoga out of the courtyard, leaving the three stunned friends. "Can this work?" Fang Haohan asked with his eyes wide open. "Holding hands can also cure the disease?" Zhang Chen was shocked. "I don't know if it can cure the woman, but it can definitely cure junior martial uncle's disease." Fang Yingying said, "What disease is junior martial uncle suffering from?" "Hypersexuality syndrome that is very infatuated with people or beautiful plants and scenery." "What disease is this?" "Infatuated." Fang Yan, stop. Lu Chaoga whispered. They were now walking in the teacher's living area. Although at this time, the teachers were at home marking homework or watching TV or movies, but who knows if someone was walking and happened to bump into them. She was being held by Fang Yan. How could it be? What would other people think and guess if they saw it? "Do you feel your heart beating faster?" Fang Yan, let go of my hand. "Do you feel the temperature of your palms rising and the sweat increasing?" Fang Yan, what are you doing? "Your face is turning red, and the skin on your neck is also turning red. Of course, you can't see this. I can tell you." Fang Yan, actually, I am the same as you now. Fang Yan said, "I become like this when I hold your hand. Do you think I am infected by you?" They didn't cross the small gate and walk towards the students' living area because there were too many students there. The school's young vice principal and an unmarried male teacher were walking on the road together. They were afraid that in a few minutes, their scandal would spread all over Rosefinch High School. Fang Yan finally let go of Lu Chaoga's hand, and the two of them walked leisurely along the Bird River. The sky was bright, and the river was rippling. Birds were chirping, and from time to time, fish would swim to the surface of the water. Rosefinch at night was comfortable and peaceful, very suitable for couples to stroll. "Not in a good mood?" Fang Yan asked with a smile. "What do you know?" Lu Chaoga wasn't a person who liked to show her emotions, so she replied coldly. "Of course, what happened just now was an exception. Everyone in this society has to bear pressure. Some people bear more, and some people bear less. Some people are more resistant to pressure, and some people are less resistant. I belong to the category of people who can't withstand pressure. So, when I am annoyed or have a problem that I can't solve, I like to find someone to beat up. The fatso you saw just now and the skinny guy next to fatso are the people that I often beat up. Oh, they are the people that I asked you to help me find a job. Of course, I don't mean to ask you to help me find a job at this time. I know you're not in a good mood, so let's not talk about such annoying things." Fang Yan turned and looked at Lu Chaoga with a burning gaze, saying, "I'm a genius. Since I was young, they all thought that I was a genius. I think so too. I'm the man with the best perception in the Fang family. I'm the man who improves the fastest in the Fang family. I'm the martial artist with the most potential in the entire circle. I felt the heart of Tai Chi earlier than anyone else. If I continue to develop like this, I will definitely become the most dazzling star. I will become a Grandmaster, a figure that the entire history of martial arts will not be able to ignore. But I met a woman. I met a woman who is more outstanding than me, more talented than me, and more barbaric than me. She knocked me down again and again. She stepped on me again and again. She bullied me and insulted me again and again. She knocked away my self-esteem and pride. She hurt my confidence and pride. For a long time, I was in a very anxious and violent emotional state. I was always thinking about how I could knock her down, how I could take revenge on her, how I could conquer her, and how I could return the humiliation that she inflicted on me back one by one, 10 times, 100 times. What are you trying to say? Lu Chaoga crossed her arms in front of her chest and raised her eyebrows. If he wanted to comfort himself with his failure, this story was too simple and unconvincing, wasn't it? What I want to say is, those who bully my women will not have a good ending. Fang Yan said with a dark expression. So, don't run in front of me and yell at me for no reason. If you make me hold a grudge, I might think of a way to take revenge on you. Chapter 138. In the process of confrontation between men and women, it was always the woman who kept talking about revenge, and the man who pretended to be innocent. It was the first time that Lu Chaoga saw such a man shouting about revenge in front of a woman. She was amused by Fang Yan's straightforward threat. She wrapped her arms around her full breasts and stared at Fang Yan playfully. She asked, "What kind of revenge?" Fang Yan raised his head and thought for a moment. He said angrily, "Don't ask such an idiotic question. Do I have to tell you in advance how I'm going to retaliate? What if you're prepared?" Lu Chaoga had always thought that Fang Yan was a chatterbox, but this chatterbox was different from others. Other chatterboxes could easily arouse the desire of the audience around them to express themselves, and then they would talk in full swing. But the most amazing thing about Fang Yan was that he could fight with his words alone, and when he finished what he wanted to express, you would find that you didn't know how to continue. Such a person had a not very positive title at the party, the topic Terminator. Lu Chaoga lifted her feet and continued to walk forward. Fang Yan also hurried to her side and said with a smile, "Are you in a better mood now?" Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan sideways, and her heart was slightly warm. She knew that Fang Yan deliberately used such a self-deprecating method to relax her nerves. In order to please a woman, this guy was willing to spend a lot of money. "Thank you," Lu Chaoga said. The depression that had accumulated in her heart for many years was completely stimulated by those gossips at the party. After such event, she really felt a lot more relaxed. This time, she could go into battle lightly again. The great hatred had not been avenged, and the war would not stop. "If you don't mind, can you tell me what happened?" Fang Yan said with a smile. "You're too nervous. Perhaps you haven't noticed it, but whenever I see you, your nerves are always tense, and your eyes and body are always in a state of vigilance. For such an outstanding and confident woman like you, what are you afraid of? I know why you like to arrange flowers. Only at that time can you relax a little and let your tired body get a moment of rest, right? I saw your handwritten banner in your office. You wrote the word meditation. There's a problem with these two words." Lu Chaoga's expression changed slightly. She had always thought that her disguise was very comprehensive, but she did not expect that Fang Yan's eyes were full of flaws. "There's nothing wrong with those two words." Fang Yan shook his head with a smile. "It's because this word is too normal. That's why there's a problem. How much pressure are you under? How irascible are you that you have to write these two words to constantly remind yourself to calm down? My heart is restless, so I need to meditate. If my heart is calm, why would I need to write these two words to reflect on myself? Have you studied psychology?" Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan with vigilance in her eyes. This man was too scary, and it deepened her understanding of Fang Yan. "Look, you're doing this again." Fang Yan smiled bitterly. "I haven't studied psychology, but I learned Tai Chi. Tai Chi. The best state of Tai Chi is when there is nothing and no me. After there is nothing and no me, the perception of the surrounding environment is more subtle and profound. I can feel who is good to me, who is bad to me, who is guarded against me, and who is sincere to me. It's equivalent to psychology. Psychology is to spy on people's inner world from their language and behavior. It's the same with Tai Chi. People have a way to express their happiness, anger, sorrow, and happiness. A strange sentence, an unintentional look. As long as you collect these emotions, you can get the answer you want. Do you study this every day?" The way Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan became even more strange. No. Fang Yan waved his hand with a smile. It's too tiring to study and think about these things every day, to figure out who is unfriendly to me and who wants to bully me. Moreover, Tai Chi is about letting nature take its course. Nature is the biggest principle. I won't stay if he leaves, but I'm not afraid if he comes. That is our principle of doing things. After thinking about it, Fang Yan felt that he should find a way to dispel Lu Chaoga's wariness toward him. After all, she was the only female leader in Rosefinch High School who was willing to protect him. Therefore, Fang Yan said, actually, every boy who studies Tai Chi is an angel who fell from the sky. They came to the human world with broken wings to protect a girl. Angels with broken wings can never return to heaven. Therefore, they can only practice Tai Chi for the rest of their lives and be losers. They are simple and kind, and they stand aloof from worldly affairs. If you meet them, you must cherish them. The topic terminator ended the topic once again. I think I still need to explain to you. Fang Yan said, I remember our agreement, and I'm also very grateful for the help you gave me when I was in the most difficult time. I promised you that I would take care of the flowers and plants in the house and yard, and I did that. The first thing I did when I got up in the morning was to water them and weed them. Every night before I went to bed, I would trim their branches and leaves. I would take them outside to absorb the sunlight. I was afraid that they would be blown down by the sudden storm and wind, so I was very careful. Today was an exception. Because there was a guest, he accidentally kicked the butterfly orchid when he was fighting with someone. I should have reminded him again before the competition. This was indeed my mistake. I apologize to you. I also promised you that I would clean the house, but as you know, I brought the students in the class to Shisha Mountain for a trip these 2 days. Only my 2 martial nephews lived in the house. For them, as long as their pants are zipped up, it means that they are neatly dressed. I apologize to you. And I promise you that as long as I am in the house, there will be no more garbage piling up. And there is the condition of taking in strangers. To be honest, this is very difficult for me to do. Because some people are very strange to you, but they are very familiar to me. They are my friends. They are my family. They came all the way to find me, and I can't turn them away. Nowadays, the pressure of employment is increasing, and it is getting harder for migrant workers to find jobs. My 2 little martial nephews don't have any skills, and they are still unemployed at home. They don't have a single cent of income every month. I can't let them sleep on the streets, and I can't let them suffer from hunger and cold. I can't turn a blind eye to their difficulties. So, I can only let them live with me. I know that this is against the rules, and I didn't fully fulfill our original agreement. But I believe that you will be able to understand and accept it. Are you willing to accept them? Fang Yan asked. Don't rush to answer. You don't have to force your heart for my sake. If you don't agree, I will immediately drive them out and let them sleep under the bridge. Fang Yan continued. After all, that house is yours. You have 100% right to decide. Lu Chaoga wanted to hit someone. She really wanted to beat the man in front of her. You have already said it like this, and I still strongly ask you to drive them out. What kind of person am I? Since they are living in. Lu Chaoga gritted her teeth and said, then they will live there first. But, I repeat again, you must be obedient. I don't want to be complained because you are too noisy and disturb the rest of the neighbors. I know you will agree. Fang Yan said happily. Because you are a kind person like me. Don't deny it, I can see it from your eyes. Lu Chaoga really wanted to ask him, did you see from my eyes that I wanted to beat you up? I am not in a very good mood tonight. Lu Chaoga apologized to Fang Yan euphemistically. So, my attitude was too intense at the time, and it may have shocked your friends. Apologize to them for me. It's okay. A great man once said that when a beauty loses her temper, God will forgive her. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, this matter was not a problem at all. There are some things that I can't tell you, and I don't know how to tell you. Lu Chaoga stopped and looked at the bright moon in the sky. She said, maybe like you said, saying it will make me feel more relaxed, and feel that there will be another person to bear it for me. But in that case, if it brings unnecessary trouble to the other party, then I can only continue to keep it a secret. Some pressure is one person's pressure, and some wars are also one person's war. It has nothing to do with you. Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan's delicate face and said, "But I still want to thank you for your company." "Why are you so polite?" Fang Yan laughed. Usually, Lu Chaoga liked to keep a straight face. She suddenly became so gentle and considerate and apologized to him. Fang Yan was really not used to it. "This is what I should do. It is my honor to serve the leader." "Is that so?" Lu Chaoga looked at the corner of the courtyard not far away. "I suddenly feel a little tired." "Tired?" Fang Yan's brain still couldn't react. "If you're tired, go back and rest." Look, this answer is so loser style. Just as he was thinking about why Lu Chaoga was tired, Lu Chaoga suddenly walked over and put her hand around Fang Yan's neck. She gently put her head on Fang Yan's shoulder like those intimate lovers. It was so relaxed and casual, as if they had rehearsed this action thousands of times. Chapter 139. Although he couldn't see the faces of the two people hugging each other on the phone screen due to the lighting, Jiang Zhulu knew that one of them was Lu Chaoga, who he had just separated from. He could distinguish her figure, he could recognize her subtle movements, he could smell the familiar scent on her body. There was no doubt that she was the Lu Chaoga that he couldn't forget about. A woman rejected your protection and companionship in order to rush over and hug another wild man affectionately. This was really ironic. The smile on Jiang Zhulio's face grew wider and the muscles on his face tightened. He stared at the frozen photo on the phone like he was admiring a profound ink painting. He asked, "When did she leave?" "Eldest young master. I followed her until she and Fang Yan separated before I drove over here," Zheng Jing carefully reported. Although Jiang Zhulio's gaze wasn't on him, although Jiang Zhulu was still looking at his phone screen, he could still feel the sharpness in his eyes and the uncontrollable hostility in his body. Slap. Jiang Zhulu did a 90-degree turn and slapped Zheng Jing across the face. This action was too ferocious, too fast, and too difficult. While Zheng Jing was shocked at how Jiang Zhulu was able to execute this action so quickly and well, he didn't feel the pain on his face. "I asked you what time it was, and you just told me what time it was? Accurate down to the minute, accurate down to the second." Jiang Zhulu roared. Shameful. This was a huge humiliation. He was one of the four prodigies of Huaqing, one of the most powerful and charming young masters in Jiang City. He was the lover of the masses. As long as he appeared, countless socialites and noble ladies would flock to him and boldly recommend themselves to sleep with him. But was this how Lu Chaoga treated him? Knowing that she didn't like to socialize, he walked over to protect her and rescued her. He wanted to take her to the bar for a drink, but she said she was tired and wanted to take a walk at school. He offered to accompany her for a walk, but she said next time and rejected his good intentions. Jiang Zhulu felt that these two shining words must have been engraved on his forehead. That was because he felt that what he had encountered was 90% similar to the characteristics of the spare tires on the internet. The difference was that those spare tires acted out the story of a loser losing to a tall, rich, and handsome man, while he was a tall, rich, and handsome man losing to a poor loser. Thinking of this, Jiang Zhulu did not rejoice at all. Instead, he felt even more sorrowful. Is it because women don't love money or because I'm too much of a failure? He began to think about this incomparably tangled and painful question. "Young Master Jiang." "She left at around 10:35 p.m., Zheng Jing quickly answered. Jiang Zhulu thought about it. When he sent her in, it was 9:15. In other words, the two of them had been alone together for more than an hour. Anything could be done in just over an hour. Gotcha! A crisp sound was heard. Zheng Jing covered his face out of habit. When he realized that the sound wasn't from Jiang Zhulu slapping him, but from his phone being smashed against the wall by Jiang Zhulu, he inexplicably felt gratified and grateful to Jiang Zhulu. Young Master Jiang is still very benevolent. Zheng Jing secretly put down his hand that was covering his face and thought in his heart. Jiang Zhulu stood up and paced back and forth in the luxuriously decorated villa's living room. Fang Yan. Jiang Zhulu sneered. How dare he snatch my woman away from me? He's courting death by eating arsenic. Young Master Jiang, just tell me what you need. Jing Jing will do anything for you. Jing Jing quickly stood up to express his loyalty. Then go kill Fang Yan. Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. Jing Jing's expression froze as he looked at Jiang Zhulu in horror. Jiang Zhulu laughed and patted Jing Jing's shoulder. I'm just kidding. We are law-abiding people. How could we do such an illegal thing? Yes, that's right. Jing Jing felt his forehead covered in sweat again. Jing is a smart person. He definitely wouldn't do such a stupid thing. The smile on Jiang Zhulio's face instantly disappeared as he said in a cold voice, What? Is it stupid to want him to disappear? Not really. I mean, Jing Jing was about to cry. I'm stupid. Don't play with me like this, okay? Jiang Zhulu sighed softly and said, If he suddenly gets into a car accident, I'll be very happy. Jiang Zhulu waved his hand and said, Go. Just do your job. Don't let her know that you came. Yes. Jing Jing bowed and agreed. Of course, with her intelligence, I'm afraid she already knows. If she asks, you don't have to hide it. You're the spy I placed beside her. How could she not know anything? Jing Jing nodded again. Jiang Zhulu waved his hand in annoyance and Jing Jing jogged away. The old butler, who had been standing in the corner and almost ignored, walked over with a tray in his hand. Jiang Zhulu took a clean towel from the tray and wiped his hands. He had slapped Jing Jing earlier, so his hands were already dirty. As far as I know, Chaoga shouldn't be so close to that man, right? Jiang Zhulu asked with a smile. Maybe she saw someone secretly taking pictures, so she purposely did it, the old butler said softly. Still so naughty. Jiang Zhulu shook his head helplessly. But she's still so full of character. Uncle Lu, this kind of woman is flesh and blood. She's 100 times better than those vulgar women outside. Isn't that right? The old butler paused and said, A woman willing to put her head on a man's shoulder, even if she's acting? That's still quite dangerous. Jiang Zhulu couldn't laugh anymore and said, Looks like we have to hurry up with our plan. I'll supervise, the old butler said. Young master, I don't think you should waste too much time on a woman. Is that so? Jiang Zhulio's lips curled into a mocking smile. It's about love and dignity. How can you just define her as a woman? She's the woman I like. The old butler didn't try to persuade him anymore and silently retreated with the tray. Taekwondo Dojo. The students of the 9th class looked around and felt that it was extremely novel and fun. Some students were Taekwondo enthusiasts and frequent visitors of the dojo, so they were used to the layout and design inside. However, some students, especially many female students, came to the Taekwondo dojo for the first time. Naturally, they had a novel idea of prying into everything inside. It's so strange. Why did Mr. Fang ask us to gather here? Are we going to learn a new text today? Which text do you think we're going to learn today? Who wants to bet with me? Huang Haoran, why hasn't Mr. Fang come yet? Is it possible that he hasn't woken up yet? Hurry up and call him. We're all anxious, waiting for him to come and reveal the mystery. In the past, the students would expect the teacher to come a little late, or the teacher couldn't come because he was not feeling well or had something to do at home. If a teacher suddenly asked for leave because of diarrhea and let the students study by themselves, the students would be so excited that they wanted to tear down the table. However, after Fang Yan came, this habit suddenly changed. If the teacher didn't come, the students would be anxious. If the teacher came late, the students would be even more anxious. If the teacher didn't come, they would tear down the table. Every language class was a journey of knowledge and a journey of the soul for them. Attending a Chinese class was equivalent to going on a trip to a beautiful place. Until now, they were excited when they thought of Farewell to Cambridge Again and Rainy Alley. When they heard students from other classes or other schools talking about it, they would raise their necks proudly and say in a calm voice, as if it was nothing in their eyes. They would say, you're talking about our class. They really looked forward to Fang Yan bringing them more surprises. They were looking forward to Fang Yan creating more miracles for them every day. After all, Fang Yan was their most respected and favorite legendary teacher in their hearts. Of course, they didn't know if they would still think so after understanding the many stains in Fang Yan's life. Because he had gained Fang Yan's full trust, Huang Haoran's status as the representative of the Chinese class also rose with the tide. If there was anything that needed to be communicated with Fang Yan, he would be the one to report to Fang Yan. Huang Haoran took out his mobile phone and was about to make a call when he heard Fang Yan say behind him, "Don't waste the phone, Bill, I'm already here." "Mr. Fang," the students of Class 9 shouted in surprise. Fang Yan looked at the students' expectant eyes and knew that the effect he wanted had been achieved. The consecutive surprises had made them curious and look forward to every Chinese class. With curiosity and expectation, was there a need to worry that they wouldn't be able to learn Chinese well? Fang Yan glanced around and asked with a smile, "Is everyone here?" Jing Guodong asked for sick leave. Huang Haoran said, "Yes, I got it," Fang Yan said. "Then let's start the class." "Mr. Fang, why did you ask us to come to the Taekwondo club? Are you going to teach us martial arts? Is it Tai Chi?" "It must be Tai Chi." Mr. Fang's posture of Tai Chi on Shishio Mountain was so cool. I even took a picture. "That's right, if we learned a few moves and ran to a place with a lot of girls, how many girls would like it?" "We'll learn banquet at Hongmen today," Fang Yan said with a smile. Chapter 140. I want to play Lu Bang. I want to play Xiangyu. Xiangyu is a great hero. Zheng Dong, you idiot. Don't play Xiangyu. Xiangyu wants to commit suicide. After hearing Fang Yan say that today's lesson was banquet at Hongmen, the students' interest soared. This was especially so for the boys. Who didn't have a heroic dream of leaping onto roofs and vaulting over walls? Who didn't want to be an invincible general on the battlefield? Fang Yan waved his hand, signaling for everyone to quiet down. After waiting for everyone to fall silent, he said, "Previously, I let everyone preview this text. Now, everyone should have some understanding of the background story of Banquet at Hongmen, right? We'll use the same method we used before to teach the lesson. There are a few important characters in this lesson that need to be played by students. The first one is Xiangyu. Who will play this role?" "Tangqing." A girl jumped out and said. It seemed that she was a hardcore supporter of Rosefinch. "Why Tangqing?" Fang Yan asked with a smile. "Because Tangqing is handsome. Xiangyu is also handsome." The girl said without hiding it. If it were another teacher, they would never say something like this. However, because Fang Yan was Fang Yan, and because Fang Yan could understand and tolerate them easily, they were so frank and direct. Fang Yan nodded with a smile and said, "Okay. Then Tangqing will play the role of Xiangyu, the first teacher of Class 9. The other students will also have a chance." "Mr. Fang, can I play Lu Bang?" Li Yang asked carefully. Zheng Guodong asked for leave, but his two hardcore supporters, Chen Tao and Li Yang, came to class early in the morning. If nothing happened between the three of them, Fang Yan would not believe it. He looked at Li Yang and asked, "Does everyone agree?" No one said anything. Disgust prevented them from saying yes, and fear prevented them from saying no. Li Yang's face turned red. He looked at the students of Class 9 and said, "I know everyone doesn't like me. I also know. I know that we have indeed done a lot of things to make everyone hate us. But I will correct it. I will definitely correct it. Please supervise me. I want to play the role of Lu Bang. I will definitely do my best. Please believe in me and support me." After Li Yang finished speaking, he bowed deeply to the audience. This apology was very sincere. Pa. The students were easily moved. After Li Yang stood up, they gave him a warm round of applause. Fang Yan nodded with a smile and said, "It seems that everyone agrees that Li Yang will play the role of Lu Bang?" Fang Yan was very pleased. A prodigal who repents is more valuable than gold. To be able to turn a bad student into a good person, this is the wish of every teacher. He knew that another student had fallen for his black trousers. Agreed. The students shouted in unison. Fang Yan smiled and then asked for everyone's opinion. He chose Zhang Liang, Fan Kuai, Fan Zheng, and several other main roles. Teacher, what about Yuji? A boy shouted excitedly. Yuji has no part in banquet at Hongmen, Fang Yan said. Teacher, why don't you choose one? It's not tiring to act with a man and a woman, the boys insisted. Even Tongqing's eyes lit up. He said, Teacher, you'd better choose one. She's still needed for the later scenes. Fang Yan thought for a moment and shouted, Qin Yin. Standing behind the crowd, Qin Etian said calmly, I won't play Yuji. Tongqing's face suddenly turned red, and his expression was gloomy and disappointed. Qin Etian's answer was as if he had refused him on the spot. Why not play Yuji? Fang Yan asked. After thinking for a moment, he quickly said, Forget it. Just pretend I didn't ask, and you don't have to answer. Fang Yan felt that he was too smart. He didn't expect that Qin Etian was not a girl who liked to play cards according to common sense. She didn't want to let him get what he wanted at all. Qin Etian pursed her lips and smiled. Because you're not Xiangyu. The students of the 9th class cheered, and Tangqing felt as if someone had stabbed him in the chest. It was dripping with blood. Fang Yan frowned and said with a serious expression, Student Qin Etian, it's class time now. Don't joke around. Without waiting for Qin Etian to refute, he scolded the other students and said, Don't make trouble. If the teaching office hears this, our class will be deducted again. The scandal must be strangled in the cradle. Fang Yan felt that it was time for him to have a good talk with Qin Etian. Okay, let's start the class now, Fang Yan said aloud. At this moment, there was a noisy sound of footsteps outside. Then, a large number of students in Rosefinch secondary uniforms rushed over. Ah, it's Class 1. What are the people from Class 1 doing here? Look at the books in their hands, they're also here for class. I see Zhangyu. They're also in Chinese class. Why do I feel that they're not friendly? Fang Yan also saw Zhang Yu. Zhang Yu was the Chinese teacher of Class 1. As a teacher of the top class of Rosefinch High School, a private school, Zhang Yu was quite proud. He graduated from a famous school and was the first batch of specially hired teachers of Rosefinch Secondary. He used to lead a class that dominated the whole school with excellent results for 3 consecutive years. There were countless students who were admitted to famous universities. Therefore, he was transferred to the top class of the whole school as a Chinese teacher. In response to the school's slogan, the genes of a famous school should be grasped from the basics. Since he became the Chinese teacher of Class 1, the Chinese results of Class 1 had always been ranked first in the school's overall and average scores, far ahead of the second place. Class 1 was the top class and also the devil's class. There had never been a class that could challenge the authority of Class 1. It was also because of this that Zhang Yu had always been the treasure of the school. He was a capable teacher in the eyes of the leaders and a high-scoring machine in the eyes of the students. However, since Fang Yan came, his limelight was completely overshadowed. Even Class 1's limelight had been snatched away by Class 9. Take the incident of receiving the Wu Ren delegation as an example. Class 1 was responsible for receiving the guests. This was a tradition and habit of Rosefinch High School for many years, but this year the rules were changed because of the arrival of Fang Yan. Before, they fiercely opposed it because they had the mentality of watching a good show. When you're embarrassed, invite us to clean up the mess. At that time, the school leaders would understand who the real elites were. Unexpectedly, the students of Class 9 not only successfully completed the task of receiving the guests, but also achieved an unexpectedly good result. In the words of Headmaster Lu Chaoga, it was the best in history. The best in history? These words were simply a slap in the face. They had been doing it for so many years, but they were overthrown and defeated in one day. If someone could achieve a best in history in 1 year, then what had their Class 1 done for so many years? Zhang Yu was jealous of the culprit, Fang Yan, and even the students of Class 9 were not pleasing to the eye. All along, he had been looking for an opportunity to beat Fang Yan's arrogance. Yes, in his heart, Fang Yan was indeed the typical representative of arrogance, disrespect for elders, lawlessness, greed, lust, and not bathing all year round. When he heard that Fang Yan asked the students of Class 9 to gather at the Taekwondo dojo today, he immediately rushed over with the students of Class 1. Whether it was a mule or a horse, it was a competition. He wanted to knock down Fang Yan face to face, so that he would not always use those non-mainstream things to attract attention and achieve the purpose of self-promotion. He had confidence in Class 1, and Class 1 would never lose to anyone. Zhang Yu was in his 30s, and he could become the backbone of the teaching team, which could be regarded as a young and promising person. He wore gold-rimmed glasses, had short yellow hair, and gave off a strong sense of scholarly aura. Fang Yan knew Zhang Yu. Seeing him coming in behind the students of Class 1, he smiled and asked, "Miss Zhang, you also have class today?" Zhang Yu glanced at Fang Yan and said with a blank expression, "If I don't have class, will I run around with the students? I'm not as daring as some people, who do whatever they want." "Huh, I guess the person Miss Zhang is talking about must be me, right?" Fang Yan said without modesty. "Whoever says it will understand." Zhang Yu also smiled. But it was a sneer. He really didn't hide his disgust for Fang Yan. Fang Yan pointed at the students of Class 1 and asked, "Miss Zhang also has class here?" "Yes," Zhang Yu said with absolute certainty. "You also learned Banquet at Hongmen?" "I happened to learn this article," Zhang Yu said. He pretended to be surprised and looked at Fang Yan and asked, "Mr. Fang, are you also going to take the students to learn this article?" "Yes, we are going to learn this article," Fang Yan said. "Then we really came at the right time," Zhang Yu said. "It's really a coincidence," Fang Yan said. "Miss Zhang came at the right time. It's really great." "It's great?" Zhang Yu was puzzled. "What is this guy talking about? Doesn't he know why I came here?" "Miss Zhang, if you didn't come, I was still worried about how to teach this banquet at Hongmen, well, so that everyone will have a deeper understanding of these 3 words. Now, this problem is solved." Fang Yan grinned and said to the students of Class 9 loudly, "Students, everyone should feel it. This is the real banquet at Hongmen. Time passes, the heroes and artifacts in the book are too far away from us. But as long as we have a pair of eyes that are good at discovering and a mind that is good at thinking, we will know that the truth has always been in front of us." What does he think he is? As a tool to understand the text? As the culprit to restore the scene of the banquet at Hongmen? After listening to Fang Yan's words, Zhang Yu almost vomited a liter of blood and fainted. Chapter 141. A philosopher once said, "What lessons can we learn from history? The only lesson we can learn from history is that we can't learn any lesson from history." Fang Yan used this as a pretext to continue educating his students. Why did Xiang Yu commit suicide at the Wu River? How could a man like Liu Bang defeat the overlord and seize the world? The banquet at Hongmen was a key turning point. Let's think about it. If Xiang Yu had chosen to kill Liu Bang instead of being merciful, would fate have been reversed? Would history have been rewritten? Would the people standing here today still be the people standing here today? Fang Yan looked at Zhang Yu and said, "Miss Zhang, since you also want to lead the students to learn the chapter of the banquet at Hongmen, why don't we discuss? If you were Xiang Yu, would you choose to kill Liu Bang at the banquet at Hongmen?" "Of course," Zhang Yu said grumpily. "Only an idiot wouldn't kill him." Anyone with common sense in history knew that if Xiang Yu had killed Liu Bang at the banquet at Hongmen, then with Xiang Yu's strength and reputation, it would have been the Xiang family who conquered the Qin dynasty. It was a pity, and a pity. Fang Yan looked at Zhang Yu thoughtfully and said, "I think so too." "What kind of look is that? What kind of look is that? Does he think I am Xiang Yu? Does he think I am Liu Bang?" Fang Yan frowned and said, "Miss Zhang, as teachers, you and I should set an example and pass on the truth, kindness, and beauty in our hearts to our students, so that they can learn knowledge and skills and also be moral and cultured people. Isn't it inappropriate for you to call me by my name? I can call you Octopus Monster, but will I do that? Obviously not. I am cultured, so I will only call you Miss Zhang." "Fang Yan, you have gone too far." Zhang Yu was really mad. In the past, he had only heard that Fang Yan had a vicious mouth and an eccentric personality. Class 1's Chen Dehai was such a powerful figure, but he was ultimately bullied into a sorry state by him. Even the honor of Class 9's homeroom teacher was stolen by him. Now that he had personally experienced it, he realized that he was indeed cunning and hard to deal with. "Look, you're calling me Fang Yan again. Don't worry, I'm a well-mannered person. No matter what, I won't call you octopus monster," Fang Yan said with a smile. "Miss Zhang, I just don't understand. I'm just putting forward some requests and suggestions from a fellow practitioner. I hope that we, as teachers, can pass on our positive side to our students, pass on our true, kind, and beautiful side. Is there anything wrong with this? How did I bully others? Ask everyone, how did I bully anyone?" Whether it was the students of Class 1 or Class 9, everyone felt that Fang Yan was bullying them. However, it was really difficult for them to explain how Fang Yan bullied people, because everything that Fang Yan said was correct. Even if you bring the lawsuit to the school's leaders, you can't find any fault. Although there were many leaders behind Zhang Yu who appreciated him, Fang Yan also had the strong support of Lu Chaoge. When the two tigers fought, Zhang Yu really couldn't guarantee that he would win. Zhang Yu became calm after his anger. He knew that his current situation was very dangerous. He had completely entered the atmosphere and rhythm created by Fang Yan. He was vilifying himself and turning into a madman without wisdom and quality. He couldn't do this. The war hasn't really started yet. "Mr. Fang." Shouting these 3 words, Zhang Yu's stomach twitched. "Do you know how many virtues there are?" As soon as Zhang Yu asked this question, Fang Yan knew his little calculation in his heart. This idiot really didn't have any experience in fighting. "I don't know which virtues it is exactly, but I know that the first virtue is the virtue of speaking. I don't understand. I was just trying to persuade Miss Zhang to be positive and be a good example to the students. How did it become bullying? Miss Zhang slandered a good person like this. Isn't this not having the virtue of speaking?" Fang Yan asked with a puzzled face. Zhang Yu really wanted to vomit blood this time. It shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like this. The plot should be like this. After he asked this difficult question, either Fang Yan answered that he didn't know, then it would be the glorious moment for him to show his profound knowledge and improve his self-pretentiousness. Even if Fang Yan answered, it didn't matter. He could use this as a pretext to say that Fang Yan had a vicious heart and a cheap mouth. How could such a character quality be a good example to others? He had buried the pit and was ready to wait for Fang Yan to jump in and bury him. However, why did he have a feeling that he had put his head into the pit? "Change it. Fang Yan, you bastard. Hurry up and change the way you answer." Zhang Yu's heart was like a prairie with 10,000 grass mud horses running wildly. He clearly said that he wouldn't be angry, but in less than a minute, Zhang Yu was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He had the urge to turn around and leave. He couldn't tremble and he couldn't leave. Even if he lost, he couldn't lose. "Mr. Fang, stop talking nonsense. Why do you have to be so eloquent? So what if you win? The school won't give you a trophy." Zhang Yu said with a sneer. "We are here to teach, not to quarrel with you." Zhang Yu waved his hand and shouted, "Bring it in." As he spoke, a few boys carried a few big wooden boxes in. "Change clothes," Zhang Yu shouted. So, the students immediately opened the boxes and took out one robe after another from the box and put them on. Fang Yan was envious and asked, "Miss Zhang, where did you get these clothes?" "I borrowed them from the drama club," Zhang Yu said loudly. He felt that he finally had a chance to hold his head high. "Very good." Fang Yan praised sincerely. "I didn't think of borrowing clothes from the drama club." Zhang Yu sneered and said, "Not everyone can borrow them." "That's true." Fang Yan nodded. "I heard that the drama club's clothes are very precious. It's very difficult for ordinary people to borrow them. Miss Zhang is the one who has the face." Zhang Yu stared at Fang Yan warily and thought, "What trick is this guy playing? Is he trying to cheat people again? Shall we use this place first?" Zhang Yu pointed to the spacious taekwondo club and asked. Huang Haoren stopped him. "We came here first. Why should you use it first?" "Exactly. There should be a first-come, first-served order, right? If we can't use it, you can't use it either." Before Fang Yan had time to speak, the students of the 9th class began to fight back. Do you have the right to speak? Zhang Yu said angrily. I'm discussing with Mr. Fang. Why are you in such a hurry? Since when did you have the right to make decisions? Fang Yan waved his hand and said, Miss Zhang, that's not right. Now it's a legal society. Every child has the right to speak freely. They can express their thoughts and prayers reasonably. This is what we should support and encourage. Right? How can you say that they don't have the right to speak? Fang Yan, don't use these students as a shield. Zhang Yu wanted to point at Fang Yan's face and scold him. Are you done or not? Can't we fight with real guns and live ammunition? Why are you pretending to be a good teacher and a good person? What truth, kindness, and beauty are you promoting? Do you have these things? Teacher Zhang, if you put it this way, then I am even more confused. There are no arrows in front of me. Why do I need a shield? I'm asking you. My students are ready. Can we use the venue? Zhang Yu felt that it was getting harder to breathe. It was as if he couldn't hold on any longer. Sure. Of course. Fang Yan said indifferently. He waved his hand at his students and said with a smile, since the students of the first class are willing to set an example for us, then we should study hard. This will also deepen our understanding of the text. This is not a bad thing. Am I right? Hearing Fang Yan say this, although Huang Haoren and the others were angry, they could only move away from the venue. A victorious smile appeared on Zhang Yu's face as she said, Mr. Fang is the one who knows when to advance and retreat. This has nothing to do with knowing when to advance and retreat. Fang Yan said with a smile. I'm a teacher. I hope that my students can learn more. If they can have such an opportunity to appreciate and observe, I think it will be meaningful for them. So I agreed. Hee hee. Zhang Yu sneered and waved his hand. Everyone, get into position. Rehearse according to the script we discussed before. We must return to the real feast at Hongmen scene. The students of the first class agreed and immediately began to move. Tangxing stood behind Fang Yan and looked at the busy students of the first class. He asked with an unfriendly expression, Mr. Fang, do we really have to give up the venue? We really have to. Fang Yan nodded. They are going too far. Tangxing said with a sneer. He was originally a member of the first class. He was transferred from the first class to the 9th class because of Qin Yitian. He understood the thoughts of the students of the first class and Zhang Yu too well. Zhang Yu is coming for you. I know. Fang Yan nodded. You know? Tangxing looked at Fang Yan in surprise. You know, but you still let him get away with it? Then what should I do? Fang Yan grinned. Scold him? Or should I say beat him up? I believe that he can't beat me in a scolding match. He can't beat me in a fight. However, no matter if we scold or fight, I lose and he loses. We both lose face in front of the students. I'm not talking about my face or his face. I'm talking about the face of the profession of a teacher. It's ruined. Tangxing was silent. He was thinking about every word Fang Yan said. Yes, this was the difference between this man and others. He was calculative and conscientious. He was long-winded and cherished his words like gold. He was a hoodlum, but at the critical moment he was able to stand up bravely. You think you understand him and see through him. No, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I know he sees me as an opponent. Fang Yan smiled and shook his head. But he is not worthy to be my opponent. Chapter 142. Killing 1,000 enemies while sacrificing 800 or killing 800 enemies while sacrificing 1,000 were all cruel ways of fighting. Fang Yan had many ways to knock down Zhang Yu and make him lose his reputation. Of course, Fang Yan could do it. However, he would not choose to do so. Just as he said, he hoped to pass on positive energy to his students. He wanted them to be true, kind, and brave. He wanted them to have rich knowledge and a humble attitude towards life. He hoped that they would be great and charming people. He was a language teacher, and so was Zhang Yu. If two language teachers fought like aunties in a wet market for the same venue, where would the dignity of a teacher be? Where would the elegance and decency be? Jealousy made Zhang Yu crazy and irrational. He put on a posture as if he was willing to be cut into pieces to bring down the emperor, but Fang Yan could not let him succeed. He would not fight with him. He was not even willing to let him touch the corner of his clothes. That was what Fang Yan thought. Many times, people called him AB*Teach. However, sometimes, he also hoped that people could call him a swordsman. Because of the retreat of Class 9, Class 1 immediately occupied the venue and quickly entered the plot. To be honest, the performance of the students of Class 1 was really good. They were originally the most outstanding students carefully selected. Coupled with their strong comprehension and learning abilities, they came prepared and perfectly restored the scene of the Hongmen banquet and the context and mood of each character. After the performance of the first group of students, Fang Yan immediately applauded and praised. "Good performance," Fang Yan said with a smile. The students of Class 9 were originally hostile to Class 1, but under the influence and drive of Fang Yan, they calmed down and enjoyed the performance of Class 1. They also applauded and cheered along with Fang Yan. Zhang Yu stood beside Fang Yan. Seeing Fang Yan's performance, a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. He thought to himself, "Of course it's good. The students of Class 1 are the most outstanding. What's good about it? I can only give you a passing mark." Zhang Yu called the group of students in front of him and commented on them one by one, saying, "Zhang Xuedong, your Xiang Yu doesn't have the domineering aura of Chu Ba Wang at all. Wang Kai, your Lu Bang is too frivolous. Think about it, his life is in the hands of others. Can he still smile so happily? Be honest. Moving people with their emotions. Otherwise, why didn't Xiang Yu kill him?" Huang Feihu's portrayal of Fan Kuai was the most successful. He was brave and resourceful, but he couldn't read his lines properly. "When I go back, I need to read the original script more and practice more." Fang Yan smiled helplessly. This is just a reenactment of the scene. The purpose is to let everyone have a deeper understanding of the historical event that happened during that period. Isn't it too harsh to ask your students to act according to the standards of actors? Of course, Zhang Yu was the language teacher of Class 1. He was educating his students, so Fang Yan was not allowed to interrupt. Otherwise, it might really cause a war where both sides would suffer great losses. Zhang Yu waved his hand and said to them, "All right, go and take a break. The next group of students, get ready. Students below, please pay attention. I hope that everyone can act better and better. Each group will perform better than the last. If you see someone else's performance but it's worse than theirs, then it's not a matter of intelligence. It's a matter of attitude. Teacher, what if Class 9 sees our performance and it's worse than ours?" A student asked jokingly. "Sun Xinping, aren't you talking nonsense? It's normal for Class 9 to act worse than us." "That's right. Why should we compete with Class 9? If we want to compete, we should compete with Class 2 or the top classes of other schools. When did Class 9 become our opponent? We are number 1, and they are number 9. There are 7 numbers between us, okay?" The students of Class 1 laughed, finding this question very interesting. The students of Class 9 were furious. Wasn't this a blatant provocation and insult? "So what if you're from Class 1? Tang Qing jumped out from Class 1. He didn't want to have a bad relationship with Class 1 after he graduated. After all, there were many people in Class 1 who were his friends. However, some people went too far and he couldn't bear it anymore. "I think it's too boring. I don't want to stay there." "I think so too," Qin Etian echoed. She still stood outside the crowd with her hands in her pockets, with headphones plugged in her ears, looking like she didn't care about anything. However, a sentence at a critical moment was quite weighty. Tang Qing was overjoyed, looking at his goddess Qin Etian with excitement. She replied to me, "She's on my side. She's on my side." Class 1 was collectively silent. Tang Qing and Qin Etian's counterattack was too fierce. They were beaten until they were dizzy. It must be known that Qin Etian entered Class 1 as the top student in the whole school. Until now, no one had been able to surpass her. Rose Finch deserved to be the most beautiful girl in the school. All the students had to respectfully call her Senior Sister Etian when they met. Such a student couldn't be replaced by other girls after she left. And Tangqing was also a top student in class 1. He belonged to the first echelon like Qin Yigan. Rosefinch, the school hunk, was Qin Etienne's hardcore admirer and strongest competitor. Everyone thought that the two of them were a match made in heaven and would definitely be happy in the future. They would enter university, start working, and then get married and have children. However, the two most outstanding people in class 1 had job-hopped and left. And they went to class 9, which they completely looked down upon. Zhang Yu's expression was also extremely ugly. He hated Fang Yan. He hated Fang Yan for stealing his limelight. He hated class 9 for taking away the honor of class 1. He also hated Fang Yan for poaching away his two favorite students, Qin Etienne and Tangqing. Now that Qin Etienne and Tangqing stood out to support class 9, his heart felt as if it was being pricked by needles. He waved his hand forcibly suppressing the anger in his stomach, and said to Sun Xinping, who asked the question, "I'm talking about class 1. We are only competing with class 1 students. What does it have to do with us whether others act well or not? You can't even recognize who your opponent is. What's wrong with your head?" Sun Xinping smiled awkwardly and said, "Teacher, I was just joking." These people were constantly making insinuations and sarcastic attacks, which made Fang Yan's heart very uncomfortable. Their words were all belittling class 9. They didn't put the students of class 9 in their eyes at all. This made Fang Yan particularly angry. Why did they feel so good about themselves? Did they think that their students were superior to others? If someone said that their children weren't good-looking, perhaps all parents would find it hard to accept, right? Fang Yan walked in front of Zhang Yu and asked, "Miss Zhang, do you practice Tai Chi?" "I don't." "Do you learn Kung Fu?" "I don't." "Do you exercise?" Zhang Yu impatiently looked at Fang Yan and said, "What do you want to say?" "I really want to beat you up in the name of sparring." Fang Yan said, "Unfortunately, your defense is too good. You didn't give me a chance at all." Zhang Yu's face turned purple. Anger occupied his brain, making him temporarily lose the ability to fight back. "It doesn't feel good to be looked down upon, right?" Fang Yan asked with a smile. "Before you say those words, why don't you think about the students of class 9? They are just a group of children. They are at the most sensitive age. They also have pride and self-respect. They also love face. They are all our students. Do you think it's really good for you to do this?" "Did I say something wrong?" Zhang Yu said angrily. "When did class 9's performance surpass class 1's? Has there ever been such a thing? Why don't I have any impression of it? If you're not convinced, why don't we have a little competition in the mock test next month?" "Compete in what?" "I don't care about other things. We will compete in Chinese," Zhang Yu said. "If you want to compete in general subjects, I don't have an opinion. But I still advise you not to humiliate yourself." "Then I will listen to you. Class 9 will compete in Chinese with class 1, Fang Yan said. "I believe they can get a good result this time. Do the nobles, generals, and ministers have guts? Can they enter class 1 also be born with it?" Fang Yan had a good understanding of his students and was confident in them. None of them were mentally handicapped. None of them were fools or idiots. The reason why they did not surpass the students of class 1 when they entered the school was because they did not work hard in junior high or their learning methods were not right. Now, since he became the teacher of class 9's Chinese and class 9's homeroom teacher, the students' learning enthusiasm was fully mobilized. He did not dare to guarantee other subjects, but he was confident that they would achieve a breakthrough in Chinese. Because, before this, they had used practical actions to prove it to him. "Really? It's good that you are confident." Zhang Yu sneered. "The loser has to apologize to the winner on the school radio station and read an apology written by the winner. Do you dare to accept my bet?" "I dare, but I am not good at writing. I am afraid that I can't write an apology," Fang Yan said in distress. "You don't have to write it. Just wait for the script to be read," Zhang Yu said with a face full of sarcasm. "I knew Miss Zhang would not make things difficult for me." Fang Yan grinned. He patted Zhang Yu's shoulder hard and said as if he was doing it for his own good, "The teacher often has to sit and grade homework, The work pressure is great, and the sub-health is getting worse. Miss Zhang, let me teach you Tai Chi? Zhang Yu thought, do you think I am stupid? Do you want to use me as Tai Chi? Chapter 143. When Lu Chaoga came downstairs, the servants had already prepared breakfast in the dining room. Jiang Zhulu sat at the dining table and read the newspaper. When he saw Lu Chaoga come downstairs, he closed the newspaper and said, I was still thinking about who would be the first to come downstairs to have breakfast with me. I really don't have much of an appetite facing this table of food alone. Lu Chaoga pulled out the chair opposite Jiang Zhulu and sat down. She asked, Where's Uncle and Auntie? My dad has to entertain his old friends at home today. He doesn't have to go to work, so he might sleep a little longer. My mom went to play mahjong with Mrs. Li and Mrs. Wang last night. When she came back, it was already early in the morning. I don't think she'll get up for a while. Jiang Zhulu picked up the chopsticks in front of him and said, No need to wait. Let's eat first. Lu Chaoga nodded, picked up the knife and fork, and began to cut the fried eggs on the plate. Have you been busy with work recently? Jiang Zhulu asked while stuffing fresh broccoli into his mouth. It's been all right, Lu Chaoga said expressionlessly. Have you sorted out the relationship between the schools? If there are any difficulties, I'll go find Jing Tiancheng for a cup of coffee. I think he'll give me some face. Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. His smile was gentle and full of confidence. Perhaps it was an insurmountable gap for many people, but it was a simple problem that could be solved with a phone call and a cup of coffee for people like them. No need. Lu Chaoga directly refused. Jiang Zhulu smiled and said, Actually, I've thought about buying Rosefinch Secondary directly. At least, I want to become the largest shareholder of Rosefinch. I want you to be the principal so that you can fully display your abilities. Being held back by a group of useless old antiques all day, and doing everything is a waste of your precious time. Lu Chaoga raised her head and looked at Jiang Zhulu in surprise. She said, You didn't think like this before. Because I understand you, Jiang Zhulu said. He added a packet of milk and half a packet of sugar into the coffee cup, and gently stirred it with a spoon. I know that if I make such a request, you'll definitely refuse. Then, why do you think I will agree now? Lu Chaoga asked. Because you think I can't hold on any longer? I'm the one who wants you to agree, Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. This will save you some time, won't it? Only by becoming the actual controller of that school can you plan and design it according to your vision. Otherwise, how much longer would you have to spend in that quagmire? 1 year? 2 years? Perhaps 3 to 5 years later? I'm not in a hurry, Lu Chaoga said. As long as she was given a little more time, she believed that she could completely establish herself in Rosefinch. Now, more and more people were trying to get close to him. She just lacked some experience and convincing results. But someone is anxious. Jiang Zhulu smiled helplessly. You only come back every 2 days, so you can't understand my pain. My mom calls me every day to urge me to go home. Once I get home, she asks me when I'm getting married. I don't want to give you any pressure. I don't want to push you too hard. But you know, a woman in menopause can't be measured with common sense. So, shouldn't we put this matter on the agenda? Agenda? What agenda? Lu Chaoga's tone became cold. She looked like she was 1,000 miles away. The wedding agenda, Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. Of course, the baby's agenda. Or, there are many other things on the agenda. I haven't considered it, Lu Chaoga said. If you and Auntie are in a hurry, you might as well see if other women are willing. Of course, I know many women are willing to marry into the Jiang family. You're not willing? Jiang Zhulu stared at Lu Chaoga and asked. I haven't considered it, Lu Chaoga said. She picked up a piece of egg with a fork and put it into her mouth, chewing it tastelessly. How vexing! How could he encounter such an oppressive forced marriage while eating breakfast? What did the Jiang family want? Why? No reason. I saw you for the first time when I was 3. You moved to my house when I was 6. We spent 20 years together. How did my parents treat you? How did I treat you? So, you want me to repay you with marriage? Lu Chaoga retorted. Repay? The muscles on Jiang Zhuliu's face twitched. You said this is repayment? Could it be that I, Jiang Zhulu, can't find a woman? Do I need you to repay me with marriage? I do like you. I fell in love with you many years ago. I hope that you can be with me. I hope to marry you as my wife. I hope that I have the qualifications to be the man who can give you happiness. Is this considered as repayment? I don't like you, Lu Chaoga said. Because of Fang Yan? Fang Yan? Lu Chaoga frowned and shook her head. It has nothing to do with him. Jiang Zhulu slapped the dining table and roared like a wounded beast. Lu Zhaoga, you don't even dare to admit what you've done? What are you afraid of? Of my revenge? Of that pretty boy who relies on women? I don't know what you're talking about. Fang Yan and I are just normal colleagues. Lu Zhaoga was nonchalant as he nibbled on the egg that he had cut into strips. Just ordinary colleagues? Do you think I'm an idiot? Jiang Zhulu sneered. Lu Chaoga, you're afraid that I'll take revenge on him, right? You're really considerate to him. You really don't trust my character. I'm not afraid of your revenge, Lu Chaoga said. You can't beat him. What's with the ruckus so early in the morning? Qiang Long Tan, who was wearing a gray pajamas, scolded as he walked downstairs. Zhulu, apologize to Chaoga. Apologize? Jiang Zhulu felt like he was about to explode. What did I do wrong? I just said a few words of truth. Someone took photos of her with that wild man, and you still have the nerve to lie and say there's nothing between them? What does it have to do with you if Chaoga makes friends? Qiang Long Tan said sternly. As long as Chaoga isn't married and hasn't become someone's wife, she has the right to make friends freely. Apologize. Clang. Jiang Zhulu threw the fork in his hand and turned to walk outside. Bastard. Qiang Long Tan pointed at Jiang Zhuliu's back and cursed. After Jiang Zhuliu's car drove away, Qiang Long Tan sat down next to Lu Chaoga and comforted her. Chaoga, don't take it to heart. Zhulu doesn't have any bad intentions. As his parents, we all know how he feels about you. It's been so many years, but Zhulu hasn't had a proper girlfriend. As for why, we all know even if he doesn't say it. People have made him into one of the 4 beauties of Huaqing. What is there to show? It's just 4 young people from good families hanging out together to pass the time. He's still young and hasn't experienced much. It's understandable that he lost control of his emotions when he felt that things were getting out of his control or that the things he cared about were leaving him. No matter what, we're all family. Uncle, I understand. I'm not angry, Lu Chaoga said calmly. Qiang Long Tan studied Lu Chaoga's expression carefully. After making sure that she really wasn't angry, he smiled and said, That's good. Your parents entrusted you to me, and I'm afraid that you've suffered in this family. If there's anything, just tell me. Don't keep it to yourself. I don't need a son, but Chaoga will always be my favorite daughter. Thank you. Lu Chaoga's expression changed, and her voice trembled as she said, Thank you, uncle. Qiang Long Tan patted Lu Chaoga's shoulder and said, I'll go wash my face first. Eat more, don't try to lose weight like other girls. You've lost weight lately. I will, Lu Chaoga said. Qiang Long Tan smiled and turned to go upstairs. When Qiang Long Tan returned to his room, his wife, Rin Jin, was already smoking by the window in a black gauze nightgown. Qiang Long Tan raised an eyebrow and said, Don't smoke so much. What? You can't stand me smoking a cigarette at home? I've never seen you get annoyed when that woman acts like a tyrant at home. Rin Jin's expression was displeased, and her words were sharp and painful. How is Chaoga acting like a tyrant now? Qiang Long Tan said with a dark expression. She's a poor child. She's been very sensible since she was young, and we've never had to worry about her. Don't you feel guilty that she's acting like a tyrant at home? Don't I feel guilty? Rin Jin sneered. Zhu Lu said a few words about her, and you went to get someone to apologize. Zhu Lu is a proud man, and you're driving him out on purpose, aren't you? Don't you feel guilty for treating us like this? A man should always give in to a woman. Am I supposed to make Chaoga apologize to Zhu Lu when they're fighting? I can't bring myself to do that, said Qiang Longtan. Also, how many times have I told you? Don't get involved in their business. Rin Jin turned around abruptly and stared at Qiang Longtan with a mocking look in her eyes. Qiang Longtan, do you know what my father said about you the first time he met you? A yellow ox and a dog. You look like a hard-working old ox, but deep down, you're a dog who wants to bite everyone he sees. You don't want me to get involved with them because you don't want them to be together, do you? Putting out the cigarette on the windowsill, Rin Jin said coldly, you don't want Lu Chaoga to be your daughter-in-law. You want her to be your son's stepmother, don't you? Smith. Qiang Longtan slapped Rin Jin across the face. Chapter 144. When Lu Chaoga was busy dealing with the work at hand, Jing Jing knocked on the door and came in. He looked at Lu Chaoga with a smile and said, Principal, I'm here to refill your cup of tea. Lu Chaoga glanced at Jing Jing and then looked at the documents on the desk again. Jing Jing took Lu Chaoga's cup to the water dispenser to refill the water, but he stood opposite Lu Chaoga's desk and did not leave immediately. Lu Chaoga looked up at him and asked, Is there anything else? Principal, is there anything I need to deal with? Jing Jing asked with a smile. Xiaoming is very capable. I will let her deal with anything, Lu Chaoga said. How can that be? Jing Jing waved his hand and said, Although I am the deputy director of the office, I am actually the principal's secretary. If there is anything, of course, the principal will let me deal with it. The principal can't favor one and discriminate against the other. It is my honor to be able to serve the principal. Lu Chaoga looked up at Jing Jing for a few seconds. She closed the folder on the desk and said, Director Zheng, sit down. Principal, just call me Little Zheng. Jing Jing rubbed his hands and said, Director Zheng, you are a smart person. I will not beat around the bush with you. Lu Chaoga said frankly and directly, I know that it is not easy for you, and you also know that I am not free. So, we don't have to torture each other. To be honest, I don't believe you. You can't be 100% loyal to me. Isn't it good for us to keep a certain distance? Principal Lu. Jing Jing's face was red. His throat moved, but he did not know what to say. Of course, Jing Jing knew the role he played around Lu Chaoga, but he was really at a loss when Lu Chaoga exposed him so blatantly. Don't hit people in the face. Being told by the boss that it was impossible to be 100% loyal to her, any subordinate would feel a sense of fear. Lu Chaoga tapped the document in front of her with her finger and said, Director Zheng, I still have something to do. Jing Jing hurriedly got up as if his buttocks were on fire. Principal, you're busy. Jing Jing Luo ran away in a panic. Lu Chaoga sat for a while with a gloomy face. She got up and walked to the door of the office. She told the secretary, Xiaoming, ask teacher Fang Yan to come here. I have something to talk to him about. Yes. Xiaoming replied. No one would have thought that Fang Yan was sitting opposite Jing Tiancheng at this time. One was an ordinary teacher, and the other was a board member of Rosefinch Secondary School. And Rosefinch Secondary was just a very inconspicuous business under Jing Tiancheng Group. The difference in status between Fang Yan and Jing Tiancheng was more than 108,000 miles. However, Fang Yan just had to sit in Jing Tiancheng's office and become a VIP that he had to see. After the beautiful female secretary turned around and left, Fang Yan picked up the teacup and took a sip. He said with a smile, Director Jing really knows how to enjoy himself. This top-notch Longjing tea can't be drunk anywhere. But the quality of the tea in Principal Lu Chaoga's office is still a bit worse. Could it be that Principal Lu is more extravagant than Director Zheng? Jing Tiancheng's face was gloomy as he said, Principal Lu has an extraordinary background. It's not strange for her to have a few boxes of good tea. No, it's Principal Lu who treats people sincerely, Fang Yan said. Whether it's the school's senior leaders or a powerless teacher like me, she will take out her best tea to entertain the guests. I think Director Zheng definitely won't drink this kind of tea, right? Jing Tiancheng's dark face became even darker. Everyone knew that the boss's office was usually equipped with a variety of tea. If the boss wanted to drink tea, the secretary would naturally choose the most favorite tea according to the boss's taste. If it was an important guest, the secretary would choose the top tea according to the guest's taste. There was also a kind of tea called popular tea. It was for guests like Fang Yan who had no identity or status but the boss had to see, so he would use the same popular tea to entertain them. Since it was popular tea, the quality naturally wouldn't be good. What are you trying to say? Jing Tianqing said while suppressing the anger in his heart. If possible, he really wanted to ask the bodyguards to throw the guy in front of him out. Of course, he really didn't want to meet such a small character before. However, the information he sent in made him pay more attention to this guy. A small teacher actually had the guts to interfere with the school board's affairs? I'm saying that I hope Director Zheng can be honest with me, Fang Yan said with a smile. Don't be like the tea leaves that are used to make tea, throwing out some random things to be perfunctory. If that's the case, it will hurt my sincere feelings from afar. Can we start now? Jing Tianqing said impatiently. He raised his wrist to look at his watch and said, "You only have 5 minutes." "Then let's start," Fang Yan said. "Do you know Zhu Jian, Director Zheng?" "I don't know him." Zheng Qingtian directly rejected the information of this person's existence in his mind. Of course, Director Zheng may not be familiar with the name if I say it directly. After all, Director Zheng usually comes into contact with some big shots. Zhu Jian used to be a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary and also Jing Guodong's language teacher. He was chased out of school because he had an ambiguous relationship with a female student and happened to be photographed by Zheng Guodong. Does Director Zheng have any impression of him? A little, Jing Tianqing said. Such a person doesn't deserve to be a teacher. The punishment he received is what he deserved. I used to wonder if we were being too lenient toward this kind of social trash. What if Zhu Jian was wronged? Fang Yan asked with a smile. Then you go find the person who wronged him and send him to the police station. A smile appeared on Zheng Tianqing's face, but his eyes were cold when he looked at Fang Yan. Bad people should be punished. Isn't society moving forward smoothly and healthily by such moral principles and legal provisions? I think so too. Fang Yan nodded. Director Zheng and I have the same idea. Fang Yan put down the teacup in his hand and said with a smile, Director Zheng, then I won't bother you anymore. Since you have made up your mind, you have to actively implement it. After Fang Yan finished speaking, he turned and walked toward the office door. Insignificant skill. Jing Tianqing sneered. He knew that Fang Yan would not leave. If Fang Yan really wanted to leave, he would not have gone through so much trouble to see him. If he really wanted to call the police, why did he come to negotiate with him? Since he wanted to negotiate, it proved that he had ulterior motives. As long as there was something he wanted before he got it, he would definitely come back. Hey, why hasn't he come back yet? Jing Tianqing heard the sound of Fang Weiyan's footsteps getting farther and farther away. He heard Fang Yan open the office door, heard the office door close, and even heard Fang Yan praise his secretary outside. His secretary's eyes were as clear as a lake in spring. Until now, Fang Yan had not returned. Jing Tianqing could not sit still. He opened the office door, looked at the secretary and asked, Fang Yan, where is the young man just now? Boss, didn't you guys finish talking? The secretary asked doubtfully. Did he really leave? Yes, he left. Jing Tianqing's heart suddenly sank. This young man did not play by the rules, making him feel like he was out of control. Did he really find something? Did he really want to send the information to the police station? His reason told him not to act rashly. This was a trap. He could not take the initiative to enter the trap, and he could not be at a disadvantage. However, what if the opponent he encountered was a rash idiot? Jing Tianqing hesitated for a moment, then said to the secretary, Do you have his registered phone number? Call him and say he left something behind. Tell him to come back and get it. The secretary was puzzled, but she still followed the boss's order. 5 minutes later, Fang Yan sat in Jing Tianqing's office again. This time, the secretary brought a cup of tea. The quality of the tea was obviously improved by several grades. Fang Yan took a sip of the tea and praised, Good tea. I don't have any other hobbies, but I like this good tea. Elegant person. Zheng Tianqing said. Oh, good beauty. The sage said that food and sex are natural. Good US dollars. Zheng Tianqing sorted out his mood and said, I expressed my sincerity. Now can we talk seriously? But Fang Yan said with a smile. Talk about what? Zheng Tianqing felt a surge of anger in his heart. This person was not serious at all. Didn't Director Zheng ask me to come back and say that I left something behind? I came back to get it. Fang Yan said. A mobile phone. Zheng Tianqing said. It was left by another guest. I mistook it. Then there's nothing for me to do? Fang Yan said. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first. Director Zheng, see you at school. Fang Yan. Zheng Tianqing shouted angrily. Be serious. Fang Yan was stunned, but he was happy in his heart. Very good. Zheng Tianqing was angry. He was angry because he had a guilty conscience. Because he had a guilty conscience, he asked the secretary to call him back. Because he had a guilty conscience, he could tolerate his cynicism. Moreover, he was really worried that he had some important information in his hands. In that case, not only would his son's situation be worrisome, but he himself might not be able to get away with it, right? Zheng Tianqing was angry, and this was the sincerity that Fang Yan wanted to see. Fang Yan sat down and said, I want to reverse the verdict for Zhu Jian and seek justice for him. But first, I want to wash away the shame on him and return his innocence. Second, I want Rosefinch to hire him back to teach and continue to be a Chinese teacher. Third, compensate him for his financial and mental losses. Fourth, all bad people should be punished. This is what Director Zheng said just now. Chapter 145. Zheng Tianqing sat there and listened attentively, looking at Fang Yan with gentle and kind eyes. She didn't think that Fang Yan's behavior was impolite, but encouraged him to continue. Director Zheng, we're not ungrateful people. We also know that if people like us accidentally get into a conflict with you, or even if it's just because we feel that we've been treated unfairly and want to seek justice, it'll take a lot of courage. Fang Yan patted his chest and said, We have worked hard for a long time and have done a very meticulous job. So, please don't easily refuse and hurt us. Because it will hurt our last bit of self-esteem and make us hysterical. Things might get worse or anything might happen. Zheng Tianqing looked at Fang Yan and asked, Do you have anything else to say? No, Fang Yan said. You have mentioned the conditions and threats. Zheng Tianqing nodded and said, You've already done very well. To be honest, you're not the best negotiator I've ever seen, but you're the most talented negotiator novice. In the past, I didn't realize that in Rosefinch Secondary, in my territory, there was actually such a talent hidden. This is really my mistake and loss. Zheng Tianqing looked at Fang Yan with a face full of sincerity and said in an equal and friendly tone, Fang Yan, how about being my assistant? You will come to a big platform that you have never imagined before. You will receive the respect of countless people and opportunities for development that no one can estimate. Rosefinch's platform is too small, it is not suitable for you. Just an invitation? Fang Yan asked. No threat? No threat, Zheng Tianqing said without hesitation. I'm not a threat here. I'm going to tell you what you're getting. First, you'll get what looks like a handsome annual salary. If your performance amazes me, I don't mind giving you some dividends. You know, this is a benefit that only the senior executives and those who have followed me for many years can enjoy. Of course, if you become my assistant, you will also be considered as half a member of the company's senior management. Second, you will own a 300 square meter house and a car worth more than 300,000 yuan. This way, isn't it a little stronger than living in the Vermilion Bird Middle School's teacher's dormitory? Do you have a room at Rosefinch Secondary? Not at the moment, Fang Yan said. He lived in the house that Lu Chaoga had lent him. Lu Chaoga could lend the house to him, and she had the right to take it back at any time. Because a certain director in the logistics department was prejudiced against him, he didn't even have a separate room. What a pity! Talented young people deserve more opportunities to live a better life. Zheng Tiancheng said, I just overheard you complimenting my front desk lady's clear eyes, just like a lake in spring. This description is too appropriate. Chen Ting was really beautiful, wasn't she? A sexy girl and a handsome guy. This was really a romantic beginning. If you can become my assistant, what can't happen between you two? It had to be said that Zheng Tiancheng was a very smart negotiator. He didn't respond to Fang Yan's words. He even downplayed the matter that Fang Yan mentioned and the conditions that he proposed. He didn't fight on a battlefield that was unfavorable to him. He opened up another battlefield that could better display his advantages and strengths. Of course, this battlefield was definitely the favorite of his negotiators. High-paying position, good salary, and immeasurable development opportunities. Big house, good car, and of course, there would be no lack of beautiful women. What you want, he will give. What you lack, he will provide. He satisfied all the fantasies of a loser. He could let you cut off your past life and reach the sky in one step. Yes, he could do it. You will have so much, and you will have so much that you can't even imagine before. In this case, how many people could persist in standing on the opposite side of Zheng Tiancheng for a person who was not related to them and a matter that had nothing to do with them? Who would be the enemy of a luxurious house, a beautiful car, and a tempting high-paying position? If Fang Yan was really a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary, if Fang Yan was just a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary, if he was like other teachers, they were comfortable and poor. They didn't have to worry about food and clothing, but they couldn't live extravagantly. Their work was easy and stressful. More importantly, they felt that their life was extremely mediocre and boring. If Fang Yan was such a person, could he refuse the conditions that Zheng Tiancheng proposed? The answer was no. He wouldn't refuse. However, Fang Yan was Fang Yan. He was not only a language teacher. The reason he could refuse and say no to Zheng Tiancheng was not because he rejected these things, but because he had these things to begin with. He was not more noble than anyone else. He just had a stronger backing and richer capital than others. This was really a sad story. To be honest, I'm very tempted. Fang Yan said. I mean, if it was anyone else who came to negotiate with you, they might be bribed by you and let you have your way. Even if the victim, teacher Zhu Jian, came himself, I'm afraid he would also hesitate. Of course, this is the result after I put myself in the shoes of the victim. I don't think I'm more moral than teacher Zhu Jian. What I did was within the scope of my ability. And what he did was within the scope of his morality. So, if both of us were to run for the honor of Rosefinch Secondary's moral model, I would not hesitate to cast my vote into the ballot box in front of him. Zheng Tiancheng frowned slightly. Things had become a bit tricky. He had made such a promise. If Fang Yan agreed to accept it, as a smart person, he wouldn't mention the so-called victim or the harsh words like Zhu Jian anymore. Let bygones be bygones. Everyone could start working together to a better future. Wouldn't that be great? He believed in Fang Yan's IQ and believed that he could make such a choice. But Fang Yan didn't. He was still mentioning the victim, still mentioning Zhu Jian. So, was he going to refuse? Why would he refuse? How could he refuse? But I can only refuse. Fang Yan said. Some people serve for power, some become a lackey for money, some just do it for a high-income job, to let their family live a better life. It's not easy for anyone to live. Why do you work? For fairness. Fang Yan said. For morality, for my conscience which is decent most of the time. Zheng Tiancheng stared at Fang Yan with burning eyes for a while, and then laughed out loud. He laughed until he was gasping for breath. His fat cheeks were full of meat. He pointed at Fang Yan with his thick finger and said, Fang Yan, do you know? Every day, there are countless people who want to visit my office. I receive at least 5,000 guests every year. The number of people sitting in your current position is countless. But, do you know that they only come to see me for one purpose? Cooperation, to make money. Or cooperation to make money. No one has ever talked to me about conscience, and no one has ever talked to me about morality, because Not everyone can be so thick-skinned as to say such things in a dignified manner. Ah, Fang Yan, you're really fresh? Fang Yan didn't laugh. Zheng Tiancheng was telling the truth. In the era of profit, who would talk about conscience? Who had the nerve to talk about morality? They don't say it because they are too embarrassed to say it. Fang Yan said with a serious face. I say it because they don't say it. These words, these things, someone has to stand up and say it. Someone has to be brave to do it. Whether it's conscience or morality, it's a compliment. It's not shameful to say it and do it. Zheng Tiancheng looked at Fang Yan with a dignified face and said, So, your conscience and morality make you refuse my good intentions. But our negotiation must continue. Fang Yan said, Let's have a good talk about conscience and morality. Then, you have to strictly abide by the negotiation process. Zheng Tiancheng said, In a business transaction, the buyer inspects the goods first, then the seller makes an offer. The buyer bargains, and finally the transaction is concluded. Both sides are satisfied. How can the seller make an offer at the beginning? Fang Yan, if you want to get a good price, I'm afraid it's not enough to just have a good eloquence and a kind heart. I'm afraid you have to come up with something more convincing. Director Zheng, you already have a guilty conscience, don't you? If you didn't have a guilty conscience, why would you ask your secretary to call me to come back? If you didn't have a guilty conscience, why would you be willing to give such a tempting offer to a little teacher like me? If you don't have a guilty conscience, don't be afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. Bah, I'm not a ghost. You know what I said is the truth, but you still don't want to admit it. You think you've done a good job and cleaned up the mess? You believe in money, wisdom, capable people, and extensive connections, but you don't believe in God. I've seen too many people like you. Fang Yan looked at Zheng Tiancheng, his cheeks blushing. He looked very embarrassed and said, I like to slap this kind of people in the face. Fang Yan took out a hard drive from his pocket and said, If you have a computer, you might as well open it. Your son won't let you down. Zheng Tiancheng didn't hesitate. He took the hard drive and walked quickly to his desk computer. He plugged the hard drive into the computer and quickly operated it with his right hand. Soon, his face was ashen, and his body slumped into the leather swivel chair. Chapter 146. Where did this come from? Zheng Tiancheng asked in a hoarse voice, as if someone was choking his neck when he spoke. What's the point of asking this? Fang Yan asked with a smile. He picked up the tea in front of him and sipped it leisurely. The outcome had been determined, and he didn't want to waste this delicious tea. Drinking tea after a victory had a different taste. Zheng Tiancheng was irritated, but he was more shocked. He pushed the chair away and stood up. His face became firm and hateful as he said, There were only 5 of them there at the time. The girl can be ruled out, but Zhu Jian is the victim. If he had this video in his hands, I'm afraid he would have taken it out to save himself. Zheng Tiancheng's voice became murderous as he said, So, is it Li Mingxiang's son or Chen Tao's son? The answer to this question is really obvious. Why must it be them? Li Yang and Chen Tao are Zheng Guodong's followers. How could they betray him? Why can't it be the 6th person? Fang Yan asked with a smile. Someone happened to pass by the woods and happened to see the shameful scene. He didn't have the courage to stop it, but he filmed this video that caught you off guard. This is also very possible. Zheng Tiancheng sneered and said, You worked so hard to speak for those 2 children. Haven't you already proved a lot of things? Are you afraid that I will retaliate against them? Of course, Director Zheng is not that kind of person, Fang Yan said with a smile. Besides, compared to retaliating against them, you have more important things to deal with, right? Name your price, Zheng Tiancheng said. Your price and Zhu Jian's price. What Zhu Jian needs, he will talk to you. But I don't want money, not a penny. Fang Yan said in a very serious tone, I want the bad guys to be punished. This is my only request. I can't agree to this, Zheng Tiancheng said. Then I will submit this video to the school and the police station, Fang Yan said. Of course, for safety reasons, I will also post it on the internet. Aren't you afraid of my retaliation? Yes, Fang Yan said. But aren't you afraid of my revenge? Do as I said just now. First, I wanted to wash away the shame on Zhu Jian. He was a good person, and he shouldn't have to carry such a heavy burden all his life. Secondly, I want Rosefinch to hire him back as a teacher. Send him an invitation. Whether he refuses or not is his prerogative. Thirdly, compensate him for his physical and financial losses. You owe him and Rosefinch owes him. Fourth, the real bad guy should be punished. Otherwise, everything I do will be meaningless. Can we do this? Jing Tianqing sat across from Fang Yan and said, I promise you the first 3 conditions. No, I promise you double. I will think of a way to wash away the shame on Zhu Jian and give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. Second, I will hire Zhu Jian to teach at Rosefinch and start from the position of Deputy Director of Teaching. Thirdly, if he gives me a reasonable amount of money, I'll give him double the compensation. But I'll let Jing Guodong go this time. He's still a child. I can let him leave. Leave Rosefinch, leave Wuxia. Let him go far away. If I promise you, does it count as me colluding with you? Fang Yan asked rhetorically. Fang Yan put down the teacup and said, Director Zheng, you are a man of great wisdom. I believe that you have no choice but to do such a thing. So, I'll give you 3 days. I believe that you can make a wise choice. If Zheng Guodong accidentally runs away within these 3 days, then I'll make this video public regardless of the consequences. Director Zheng has a big business, so be careful. Fang Yan took out his mobile phone from his pocket and looked at the time. He said embarrassedly, Oh, we've been meeting for more than 5 minutes. It's really a sin to delay the school board meeting. Jing Tianqing felt powerless. This guy really held a grudge. A few major events happened at Rosefinch Secondary these days. The first major event was naturally the eldest of the school's 3 foppish playboys, Zheng Guodong, dropped out of school. He suddenly left the school without informing anyone. Zheng Tianqing's secretary only sent a withdrawal application to the school. Why did Zheng Guodong drop out of school? Where did Zheng Guodong go? This became the topic of many students' discussion. Of course, it was also a mystery that was difficult to pry into the truth. Fang Yan knew where Zheng Guodong went. He entered the juvenile detention center and was about to start a new life that he had never experienced before. Zheng Tianqing finally made a wise choice. He had a big business, so he didn't dare to let this matter affect his own reputation, nor did he dare to let the company's reputation suffer any damage. Within the scope of Fang Yan's permission, he kept Zheng Guodong's withdrawal and entry into the juvenile detention center within his control. It didn't cause any big waves, not even a small ripple. He had the ability to do it. Of course, the students were happy to see Zheng Guodong drop out of school. Who asked him to be domineering and bully his classmates in school? He wasn't liked at all. The second major event was Zhu Jian's return. The language teacher who was expelled from the school because of a scandal with a student returned. The school obtained new evidence to prove that Zhu Jian and the girl only had a normal teacher-student relationship. In order to make up for Zhu Jian's long period of unfair treatment and grievances, the school not only recruited him back, but also arranged for him to take the important position of Vice Director of Education. Now, he was Li Mingxiang's assistant. It could be said that Zhu Jian's return was more sensational than Zheng Guodong's dropping out of school, and it caused more heated discussions among the teachers and students. Some smart people guessed that Zheng Guodong's departure had something to do with Zhu Jian's return, but no one had evidence to prove that there was a definite connection between the two. The third major event was the official establishment of the Rosefinch Secondary Tea Ceremony Society. The first president of the Tea Ceremony Society was the school's legendary figure, Qin Etian. Qin Etian originally refused to take on this position. She didn't feel that she had the mood and obligation to spend her precious time and energy to explain and demonstrate the real tea ceremony to her juniors. However, after Fang Yan's repeated requests and even accepted a condition that only the two of them knew, Qin Etian finally agreed. Sure enough, the power of an idol was infinite. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, you would never be able to understand how terrifying the girl's influence in the school was. With the support and help of Lu Chaoge, the school specially provided an activity venue for the tea ceremony society and renovated the room into a classical-style tea house. Qin Qian stood at the entrance of the tea house. When two boys hung the plaque inscribed by Lu Chaoge on the wall, countless students who heard the news rushed over to cheer and applaud. Then, there was a long queue in front of the registration desk, and the first batch of 100 registration forms was sold out. Those who couldn't sign up protested loudly, but Qin Etian turned a deaf ear to them. She directly closed the door of the tea house and pulled the first batch of club members into the tea house for a meeting. The popularity of the Tea Ceremony Society made Fang Yan, the honorary president of the Tea Ceremony Society, very happy. He knew that anything would be successful as long as he had the label of a goddess. Of course, the establishment of the Tea Ceremony Society was to promote the tea ceremony of Wuxia and cultivate the habit of drinking and loving tea in Wuxia. They recruited 100 people in the first batch and selected some students who came for the tea ceremony. Then, they would select the best in batches and turn the Tea Ceremony Society into a real tea ceremony society, not just another fan club of Qin Etian. Obviously, this process was very difficult. It was said that men who worked hard were the most attractive. In fact, in the eyes of men, women who worked hard were also very sexy. Fang Yan sat opposite Lu Chaoge's desk and watched her quickly read through her opinions on one document after another and sign her name. Her glasses were lowered to the bridge of her nose, and her long hair was loose and touched the paper. Her nose was round and smooth, and there wasn't even a common blackhead. Her eyes were big and bright, and her long eyelashes looked forward like a beautiful little fan. Every time her eyes fluttered, it was like a light touch on a man's heart. After dealing with the last document, Lu Chaoge closed the folder and asked her secretary, Xiaomeng, to come in and distribute the documents to each department. Then she explained to Fang Yan, the school's anniversary is the focus of the school during this time. Every department has to be mobilized to participate. Did you invite Zhu Jian back? The school invited him back, Fang Yan said with a smile. I'm not qualified to give the position of Deputy Director of Education to him. Lu Chaoge took off her glasses, and her beautiful eyes were even sharper and dazzling. You know what I mean, Lu Chaoge said. The leaders of the school, including me, even if they suspected that there would be some disgraceful shadows in Zhu Jian's case, but because of Zheng Tiancheng's intervention, no one really thought about doing anything for him. A lot of things are in the past, and no one will think about uncovering and investigating him again, especially things that have nothing to do with their own interests. Lu Chaoge looked at Fang Yan and said, You mentioned Zhu Jian in front of me more than once, because there were some misunderstandings between us. I know that if there was no external intervention, Zhu Jian wouldn't have come back, and it would be even more impossible for him to wash away the shame and regain his innocence like this. Fang Yan, you did what I couldn't do. I admire you very much. Fang Yan's mouth was round, and his face was full of disbelief. This strong woman who never compromised with anyone, actually said that she admired him? I'll treat you to dinner tonight, Lu Chaoge said. If there's nothing else. I hope you won't refuse. Oh, Fang Yan was even more shocked. Is this a date? Chapter 147. Who is playing the east wind with the pipa? The years are peeling off the wall, remembering my childhood, Fang Yan was singing. Some people say that if you are successful in love, you will be frustrated on the battlefield. Frustrated on the battlefield, you will be proud in love. Nonsense. Fang Yan was now proving to them that he was not only proud on the battlefield, but also very proud in love. Look at the iceberg goddess of the school, the star idol worshipped by thousands of people, the mature and sexy headmistress. The proud and stubborn strong woman Lu Chaoge took the initiative to invite him on a date, blowing the horn of attack and shouting the password of conquest. Just thinking about it made people feel sweet in their hearts. Men conquer women by conquering the world. If you fail on the battlefield, how can you conquer the world? If you can't conquer the world, how can you conquer women? So, some things are really unreasonable. Mr. Fong, what makes you smile so happily? Like a flower. Lu Chaoga's secretary, Xiaoming, stood in front of Fong Yen and looked at his happy face and asked aloud. Fong Yen waved his hand and said, I'm a child, I don't understand. Annoying. Xiaoming said angrily, Who said I'm a child? You're a child. I know even if you don't say it. What do you know? Fong Yen asked. Isn't it just the leader inviting you to dinner? Xiaoming said proudly. After that, Xiaoming quickly looked around. She exposed the leader's privacy in public. If the leader heard it, he would be very unhappy. Fong Yen looked at Xiaoming with wide eyes and said, You already know? You eavesdropped on our conversation? Xiaoming rolled her eyes and said, Please, I helped you book the restaurant where you ate. I already knew before you came to see the headmistress, okay? Fong Yen felt that Lu Chaoga was too inexperienced. How could this kind of thing be known? Booking a restaurant shouldn't be left to the secretary. Maybe she disdains to hide her feelings. She wants everyone to know who she truly belongs to, Fong Yen thought. Just like Qin Yitian. Thinking of this possibility, Fong Yen blushed and felt dizzy. His body felt light as if he had just drunk a big bowl of wine. Mr. Fong, what's wrong with you? Xiaoming saw that Fong Yan's expression was not right and asked anxiously. I'm fine. Fong Yen waved his hand. I'm fine. A pot of muddy wine is a happy reunion. How many things have happened in the past and present, all in laughter and conversation. Fong Yen strode away, his voice also becoming passionate and heroic. Xiaoming hummed along and found that the lyrics couldn't keep up with the tune of Breaking East Wind. Sky One. Some people said that this was the most expensive restaurant in Flower City. One of them. Fong Yen stood in front of the glass door of Sky Number 1 and said embarrassedly, Isn't this too wasteful? What we eat is secondary. Our main goal is to find a place to talk and chat. Lu Chaoga glanced at Fong Yen and didn't say anything. How about I pay the bill for this meal? Fong Yen said. Usually, this kind of thing is paid by the man. Lu Chaoga glanced at Fong Yen and said, Okay. Fong Yan's eyes widened. Why did she really agree? With her strong personality, shouldn't she have slapped herself in the face and said, Stop fighting, I said I'll pay the bill today, so I'll pay today? For a man, paying the bill is also a kind of honor. Fong Yan's expression was a little awkward and he was embarrassed to look at Lu Chaoga's eyes. But you didn't tell me in advance. If I don't have enough money on me, I'll need to borrow some from you. I have enough money. I'll pay the bill. Lu Chaoga's lips curled into a smile. I'm really sorry. Fong Yen said. I hope you won't laugh at me. My self-esteem is very fragile. There will be opportunities in the future. Lu Chaoga's voice was calm and gentle. She seemed to be hinting at something. Fong Yen thought to himself, what is she hinting at? She wants to tell me not to rush. If we get together in the future, I'll give you opportunities to pay the bill often. Is that so? Then should I reject her tonight? Who would dare to want such an unscrupulous woman? Sir, how many? A beautiful attendant in a stewardess uniform walked over quickly and greeted them with a smile. 2, Lu Chaoga said. My surname is Lu. Miss Lu has booked a magic cloud private room. Please follow me. The attendant pressed the elevator button behind her, and then the elevator, which could enjoy the surrounding scenery in all directions, took them all the way up to a height of tens of meters. The private room was mainly sky blue, and the magic clouds were everywhere, as if they were really flying in the sky. Seeing the environment in the private room, Fong Yen was very glad. He thought to himself, fortunately, I'm not paying the bill. The attendant brought the electronic menu. Each dish had a video specially shot for it. If one was interested in this dish, he could click on the video to learn more about it. Fong Yen felt that it was too high-tech. He said, Principal Lu, you order. You can call me Lu Chaoga, Lu Chaoga said without raising her head. Lu Chaoga. Fong Yen whispered the name and felt his heart beat faster. These women were really enchanting. Their casual words could make people feel numb and have strange associations. Lu Chaoga ordered a few dishes skillfully and said, "Open a bottle of red wine I saved last time." "Okay," the attendant replied. "Miss Lu, please wait a moment." After the attendant left, Lu Chaoga took off her silver coat and hung it on the hanger in the room. She wore a white shirt and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window to look at the night view of Huaqing. The sky was dark and the clouds were rolling. A heavy rain was coming. Lu Chaoga's eyes were blurry and her expression was dull. No one knew what she was thinking. Fang Yan stood behind her and didn't know what to say. "Someone told me that you can only enjoy the true night view of Huaqing from here," Lu Chaoga said. "I tried many times and it's true." "Yes," Fang Yan agreed. Although he didn't know if the neon lights of the skyscrapers outside counted as the true night view of Huaqing, he said, "The view is pretty good." "This is our first time eating together?" Lu Chaoga asked. "Everyone is usually very busy." "It has nothing to do with being busy," Lu Chaoga interrupted Fang Yan and said, "It's just that it's not convenient. It's not suitable." "Yes, it's not convenient. It's not suitable." If Lu Chaoga, the school's vice principal, always ate with Fang Yan, the new teacher, rumors about them would probably spread throughout the school, right? People would probably scold them for being stupid if they said they weren't a couple. "But do you have to say it so clearly and make people feel like I'm not worthy of you?" "People change, and so does their state of mind," Lu Chaoga said. "I used to think that I was good at reading people, but after knowing you for so long, I've never really seen you clearly. Sometimes I think I've seen you clearly, but you'll soon prove to me that I'm wrong." Fang Yan smiled and said, "Why do you have to see people so clearly?" "Because I lack a sense of security," Lu Chaoga said. "For people who I can't see clearly, I'll classify them as bad people. I'm worried that he'll tear off his disguise at any time and reveal his smelly fangs. This is very unfair to good people like us." Fang Yan shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Yes, you're a good person," Lu Chaoga said. "I don't know what you have on Zheng Tiancheng, but I think when you went to negotiate with him, with his businessman nature, he must have offered you very good conditions, right?" "Very good. I was almost bought over." "But you didn't," Lu Chaoga said. "Not only were you not bought, but you also sent his only son to the juvenile detention center." Fang Yan looked at Lu Chaoga in surprise and said, "You know about this?" This was his negotiation with Zheng Tiancheng, and it was also an agreement. He thought that no one would know where Zheng Guodong went. "This is the best ending," Lu Chaoga said. "It's the same for him, and it's the same for Zhu Jian. It's the best ending for everyone." "Zheng Tiancheng definitely won't think so." "But you're not afraid at all." Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yan with burning eyes and said, "Fang Yan, sometimes I really wonder, is there anything you can't do?" "Don't put me on such a high pedestal, I'm also an ordinary person," Fang Yan said with a smile. "Even if it's just a sense of justice, it's already very unusual in this world," Lu Chaoga said. "I admire righteous people, so I want to treat you to a meal." "Just because of justice?" Fang Yan asked. He felt a little disappointed. "What about the promised date? What about the candlelight dinner? You don't even chase after me, how can I refuse you?" "And wisdom," Lu Chaoga said. Splat! Bean-sized raindrops slapped on the window, making a sound like beans being fried. Outside, the wind was howling, lightning flashed, and thunder roared. This was a rare rainstorm that Fang Yan had seen since he came to Huaqing. "I like rainy days," Lu Chaoga said as she looked at the rain outside. "Women all like rainy days," Fang Yan said with a smile. "It's easy to make people sentimental." "I just think." There was a cruel smile in Lu Chaoga's eyes. "This world is too dirty, it needs to be cleaned." Fang Yan was shocked. Lu Chaoga was a little strange today. She was very different from the cold and proud Lu Chaoga that he had met before, who didn't seem to care about anything. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock on the door. Before Lu Chaoga and Fang Yan could respond, the door was pushed open from the outside. A group of people walked in with glasses of wine. The man in the lead smiled and said, "Chaoga, I know you're eating here, so I came to have a drink with you. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.